Well, the problem with Nurmagomedov obviously was the last fight before this previous spectacular fight with Barboza. He didn't make the weight because he had to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
So that's a different animal. That's like, okay, you pushed it so far that they wanted to make sure you stayed alive. So they had to bring you to a hospital. So they obviously realized there's some changes that need to be made. They made those changes. And fucking hell on Friday, or on Saturday night rather. Fucking hell.
Unbelievable.
Dude.
That was... It's really weird sometimes when you, in any sport, I don't care what it is, when you see somebody, you know, Jordan in his prime, you just can't cover the guy. It's almost like he's the only one on the court.
Yeah.
Nurmagomedov, it was like he was the only one in the cage.
It was everything
crazy.
Was inevitable. Everything was inevitable. The takedown was inevitable. The beatings were inevitable. You know, even if you hit him, congratulations. Now you're on your ass. You're getting punched in the face over and over again. You can't get up. You're getting mauled. Like, immediately.
And against an excellent fighter.
Excellent.
People forget Barboza is amazing.
Amazing.
And he made him look like he's... the look on his face when he got up, when Barboza was like, hey, you were better than me. It was almost like a...
Yeah,
like a shrug. It wasn't even mad. It was just when you see somebody that much better, it's back to the drawing board.
Well, I was super impressed with Barboza being able to make it to the final bell. I mean, that was amazing. Just being able to do that, that shows you what a dominant performance it was by a guy like Khabib. But you also realize, like, what a world-class fighter Barboza is, that he keeps throwing wheel kicks in the third round and even landed one of them. It just didn't have much on it anymore.
Didn't have the juice on it anymore.
But fuck, man, he was still trying to win after a horrendous mauling for 8+ minutes.
You know when I really look at fighters, when I really focus on them, especially the face, in between rounds, I look for that breaking moment of Vitor Belfort, Randy Couture, and he's sitting on the ground, just like didn't even sit on a stool. He sat on the ground like beat. And I'm like, this guy's beat. It's when you look at them in between rounds and you see that, like, what am I doing in here? That's when you know the men from the boys, mentally speaking. And in Bellator, Patricio Pitbull, I remember when he fought Daniel Strauss. He was getting beat up for like 4 rounds, and every round he looked like Lemmy Adam. There was, and he won. And toward the end of the 4th round with a rear naked choke. He just never quits, and I always look for that breaking moment, man. Yeah. That's what really separates the guys who are mentally 100% there on those horns.
I think Barboza got beaten, but I don't think he got broken.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, if you think about the amount of time during that fight, he was actually getting his ass kicked. When I said 8, I think I might have said rounds. I meant minutes. I think there was like 8 minutes of prolonged top time and beating in that fight.
Yeah.
Plus. And then there's all the backward movement, trying to get away, throwing those inside leg kicks, and doing everything he can to create space. But for 8 fucking minutes, he never gave up. He was just, or whatever it was, 15 minutes, he's just getting the fuck beaten out of him. He kept trying to win. He wasn't capable of doing it, but he never broke.
Teddy Atlas said, fighters make an agreement. I'll stop trying to win if you'll stop trying to hurt me.
Whoa, yeah.
And he never did that. He never went, look, just go away. Just like, leave me alone and I'll back up and you can beat me. He never did that. He kept throwing the whole time, which is incredible, but just no answer. How many 10-8s were there on the scorecards? Like,
well, the thing is,
3 different
Jimmy,
one had a 10-8 every round.
It was It was the old scoring too. The Nevada hasn't adopted the new rules. So for people who don't know, the new rules make it easier to make distinctions between a 10-9 round, 10-8 round, 10-7 round, which I agree.
They haven't adopted that.
No, Nevada has not.
So that's an old school 10-8.
Yeah.
It's an ass whooping 10-8.
There was some ridiculous scorecards that it seemed to indicate to some of us that even though the new rules are better and the states haven't adopted them, the judges have decided to adopt them in some sort of a weird non-declared way, because it just definitely seemed there was a much larger disparity in the numbers in the scorecards.
Yeah,
but Nurmagomedov just mauled him. I mean, mauled him in a way that you go, oh God,
you're not even there.
He's just on such another level that the odds of you beating him drop so substantially after the first minute and a half. After you saw the look on Barboza's face. There's like 2 minutes plus into the first round, and he's trying to get up. You see the look in his face. He's like, fuck. how am I going to deal with this?
Yeah.
Like, this is so next level.
So.
Now, you're a fucking decent guy. You don't get in any bullshit. You're not involved in any brawls. You don't get involved in any stupidity. You're an excellent representative of a professional athlete.
Thanks.
What do you think about all this Conor McGregor bullshit? Like, you see someone throwing a dolly at a bus and shattering a window.
I don't even have words for it, man. I have no words for it.
What did you think of when you heard the news? I heard the news when I landed. I was in the plane when it was all happening, flying to New York. And when I landed, my phone was like, bzz, 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 bzz. All these text messages coming in going, what the fuck is wrong with Conor? I'm like, what happened? You know, and then I checked the news and I was like, oh, Christ. And then I hear that 2 fights were pulled from the card, then 3 fights were pulled from the card.
No, Conor McGregor, he's just losing it right now. It feels like he's lost it. I feel like, you know, I've never really been. You know, I respect all the things he does. He's a great businessman. He do what it takes to make money. He knows what it takes to get money, and he does really good. He's a mastermind when it comes to trash talking, man.
He's a wizard.
He takes it to another level. But like this thing he did now, it's just crazy. You don't do that. You don't do that at all. I don't know what it is. Why is he doing it?
Yeah, I don't know either.
Is he drunk as fuck, or is he just? Is he like that as a
booze. I wouldn't think that's a booze move. That seems more like a coke move.
Yeah, could be. I don't know.
Or it just could be part of his act.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, do you really take it that far?
Yeah.
Do you really take it that far to just make some noise? I don't know.
Well, what if my thing is like, what if that dolly hit the car where Rose was sitting and cut Rose's face up?
No, that would just be.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
Michael Chiesa, I'm sad that he got cut, but Chiesa's a tough bastard. He'll be fine. He's probably pissed off, and he's going to sue Conor, and he'll probably make a shitload of money suing him.
Yeah.
But what if it hit Rose?
No, that would be bad. That would be really bad. No.
I would feel terrible. The fucking world would hate him.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what if Rose was blinded in one eye because of that?
Oh, no,
like,
shit. That would be a nightmare.
Real?
What the fuck? That would be a nightmare.
Ray Borg got cuts in his eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's entirely possible.
Yeah, he got glass cuts in his eye.
Yeah. He got glass shards. He got a scratched cornea.
Are they all suing Conor now? Or? Yeah, they should be.
I don't know. Find out how many lawsuits. I know Chiesa filed. Chiesa definitely filed a lawsuit or filed a complaint, which will lead to a lawsuit, I imagine. Look, I imagine if I was Conor, I would settle the fucking every single thing outside of court, because if he loses and he gets a felony, he's fucked. He probably won't even be able to come into the country.
No, exactly. No.
Here's my thing. Imagine, switch it around. Imagine if Ray Borg threw that dolly at the bus and Conor was inside.
He would be smoked.
Be gone.
His
career would be over.
He will be gone for sure.
That's one of the more fucked up things about this.
Yeah, he will be gone.
Is that Conor's getting special treatment.
Exactly. Of course.
He is.
Yeah, of course.
That's not good for anybody.
No, it's not. It's not. And like I told you, he's just losing his mind right now. It's you do it to a certain level, and then you just chill. You don't take it further than what it just did.
Yeah.
So I don't have any words for it, man. I just feel like it's terrible. It's terrible for everybody in the sport, man.
No, it's terrible. It's terrible for Conor even, because you don't want to be in a position like that.
Yeah, he's making money. I don't know what he made for that Mayweather fight, but I'm telling you, if he keep doing what he's doing, that money is not going to be enough to pay all that shit he has to pay.
No, he'll burn right through that money. But he's probably burning through that money anyway. Every time you see him, he's got a new Bentley.
Yeah,
and he probably lives in a mansion now.
Oh yeah, he does. 100%. He has his private jet. I don't know how many bounces. I don't know how many what you call it bodyguards he had when he hit that guy in Ireland. The gangster guy he hit in Ireland. He had a bunch of like bodyguards I heard around it. What do they cost every day? They're not cheap though.
Yeah, that money piles up.
Yeah.
But when you're 29 years old, like Conor, you don't even think about it.
You don't.
He's thinking about now, not the future. And he probably thinks he's going to make hundreds of millions more.
That's the sad part of it, man. Yeah. That's the sad, because doing what he's doing, whatever it's $1 billion or whatever it is, it's not a lot of money. It's going to run through you.
Well, there's that. And then there's the thing that really gets me, is that what Conor is an exceptional world championship fighter. I mean, that's what he really is. All this other stuff is the bullshit is going to get in the way of his legacy. I mean, his legacy shouldn't be a boxing match where he was TKO'd by the greatest boxer ever. That's fucking stupid.
Yeah, I know.
His legacy should be the next fight after Eddie Alvarez.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man. I know what you mean.
Eddie Alvarez was a masterful performance.
He's been smashing beasts.
Yeah.
He's been taking 2 belts.
Yeah.
He's just a regular guy from Ireland. He comes to America and he just lives the American dream. He done things nobody's done before.
Yeah.
So it's terrible. It's terrible to see all this shit happen.
Yeah, because I'm saying that all these things that are happening, it's bad for him.
Yeah, of course.
It's not just bad for the sport to let him get away with it. It's
bad
for him.
With all this happening, you don't even think of what he's been doing in the octagon.
Right. Exactly. I mean, just think about setting him up with Khabib. Having that fight. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, that would be a giant fight. That might be one of the biggest MMA fights ever to make. Him versus Khabib?
Yeah, Khabib is, what's his record, 25-0?
26 now.
26-0.
26-0.
That's amazing.
And he's barely tested.
Yeah.
He barely gets tested.
Yeah, that's amazing.
You see one little flaw in him, you get all excited.
Yeah.
Because like, ooh, look, he's keeping his chin up.
Who do you think win that fight?
What's that?
Who do you think win that fight?
It's a good question. The question is, can Conor catch him? Can Conor catch him while he's coming in?
Yeah.
And if Conor can catch him, look, Conor can knock anybody out.
Yeah.
I mean, you see what he did to Eddie Alvarez. You see what he did to Aldo. Nobody had ever done that to Aldo before.
That's the best strikers in the division.
Yeah. And what Conor has is incredible precision and the ability
he's so fast.
So fast.
His speed, his angles, he moves, create an angle, and he just counter the shit out of the guys, and yeah, that's all he needs.
He also moves unusual. He moves almost like a karate guy.
Yeah, he does.
Like wide stance, but then knocks you out like a real pro boxer. Like
the only thing I'm doubting on Conor, he's the best striker and all of that, but does he have the conditioning for Khabib?
That's a good question.
Khabib, he just keeps going and
different animal.
Yeah,
and it's also the wrestling.
Yeah,
like Khabib's wrestling is not just a level above everybody else, but multiple levels.
Yeah,
like he just.
I heard like heavy guys. I'm talking about heavyweights talking about Khabib's pressure on the ground being on top.
Yeah, yeah.
Taking that side belt, that seat belt around, taking his hands, moving that leg up. Just neutrals the guy totally. So,
Luke Rockhold said he never loses a round in training.
Oh, he said
he doesn't lose a round.
Yeah, Khabib.
Khabib doesn't lose a round. He just smashes everybody.
That's insane, man.
Everybody who wrestles with him are like, fuck, here we go. Time to go through the grinder. It's like,
if you don't know if the guy's good at fighting, don't worry about it. Unless he's a wrestler, he's like, just if it's a wrestler, try to back down because he's like, you don't know what to do.
Smart dad.
And yeah, it was classic this weekend when I was watching that fight. I'm like, okay, here we go. This is just a classic. He's going to, Conor had like 30 seconds at the start of those rounds, and then it was just a mauling.
Yeah, well, John Cavanaugh, who's Conor's trainer, will be here next. He's going to be here at 11. And we'll get a chance to talk to him and see what the fuck he thinks and what happened. And the bottom line is that guy's so much better than him as a grappler. So much better.
Yep.
He is on such a high level. When I talk to Daniel Cormier says that guy schools world-class wrestlers in the gym, just throws people around.
Yeah, assassins.
Yeah.
Like probably one after another.
Yeah, he's
imagine
he's
the training.
A special talent. He's been wrestling since he was a little kid, man. I mean, he really has. You ever see the video of him wrestling a bear?
No, but I want to.
You never saw it?
No, but I want to.
It's fucking hilarious. It's him wrestling a brown bear. It's like a small brown bear. Like a Russian brown bear, like our version of a grizzly in Russia, and he's
so
fucking
you're saying like
wrestling
a coastal peninsula bear,
yeah.
like a peninsula.
Yeah, look.
What is happening?
That's him when he's a little kid. Look at this. I mean, first of all, who the fuck lets their kid wrestle a bear? And the bear's biting him. Look at this bear's biting his clothes. Bear's a total cheater. Which prepared him for Conor this weekend because Conor did a lot of cheating.
Okay, look, if I would have saw this, I would be making a bet.
He gave up position because of the bite. You see that? He was on top, and the bear bit him, and he let the bear get on top. Now he's on top.
Yep, it's over.
Look at this. But it's not. Bears are squirrely, man, and bears have a really good guard.
Look at the double leg.
He's laughing.
That's
awesome.
Him.
That's him as a little boy. Look at that. 1997.
See, we can't do that stuff in America.
I know. That's why we're going to lose.
Imagine if Mendez got to go out and just wrestle bears.
Look how little he is, too. I mean, he's a little kid there, man. He looks like he's about 8 years old.
Actually, I think in the neighborhood I grew up with the Guidas, they probably had one of these in their garage.
A bear?
Yeah, Clay and Jason. They were both kind of nuts. Maybe they did wrestle some bears.
What state was that?
It was in Illinois.
So that
Northern
would be a
Illinois,
black bear?
Johnsburg. Yeah, probably. This is awesome.
It's crazy. You know what's interesting? I've been.
Why doesn't he bite back? Didn't get that training.
Yeah, don't do that because then the bear's really going to get into it. Look at the bear's trying to bite his head and shit. Well, it's a little bear.
But his dad just let him ride it out. He's good.
Well, the bear is obviously being nice. They're having fun. I mean, even as the bear, it's like when a dog is biting you when you're playing with them and they're not trying to hurt you.
Look at that.
But the bear's also on a chain, which is kind of fucked up because the bear can't circle correctly.
Of those. That bear.
Look at that guard. Look at that guard.
Very good.
Bears have a very good guard. Look at this. Look, he shoots it low. I mean, Russians are a fucking different breed, man.
Yeah,
they're a different breed. And as things are hard over there, we try to make things softer and softer over here. We're giving kids participation trophies. We don't want bullying.
They're like, we're bringing a grizzly into the assembly, and we're going to wrestle grizzlies today.
Yeah, how old are you? 8? And you haven't wrestled a grizzly yet? What are you, a pussy?
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
Couple shots of vodka, grizzly bear.
Well, you're seeing a lot of very, very tough guys come from that part of the world.
Yeah.
And they're fighting in combat
Not
sports
just guys.
now. Yeah, women, yeah.
Not just guys.
Yeah. What's your thought on Khabib Nurmagomedov?
Extremely impressed. This kid is deeply, deeply impressive. He's come into the academy a couple of times before fights. I've never actually seen him train. After his fight in Madison Square Garden, he brought himself and a group of his friends, his training partners, came into the academy and trained in my Monday afternoon class. Khabib didn't train; he just sat on the bench because he just fought on Saturday night. So of course he's not going to train. But his training partners came in and trained with the squad, and that was a fun afternoon. They rolled with, I think, mostly Nicky Ryan, and it's hard for them, of course, because it's submission grappling. That's not really what they do. They do more the interface of grappling combined with striking, so they had a hard time of it. But he struck me as a very, very nice person. He's shockingly big for his weight division.
Shockingly
so. Like all the people coming out of the Caucasus regions of Russia, his wrestling is extremely good. They have probably the best wrestling program in the world. That whole area stretching from Ossetia through Dagestan, through Chechnya, all the way down to Iran, that area is just a hotbed of wrestling in the world. And it shows with all their fighters. They're all strong in wrestling. And then they just add to that the various skills, and you've got a tough, tough group of people.
Yeah, I've been impressed with every single performance he's had in the octagon. I mean, he's undefeated, which is incredibly rare in and of itself. But in the 155-pound division, even more impressive. But the way he mauled Barboza was just like,
shocking.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And you could see the fight was essentially over halfway through round one.
Yes.
It was just,
You could see it in Barboza's face.
Yeah.
He was drained.
Yeah, that was an incredibly impressive performance. Obviously, there's still... you can't put him yet in the greatest of all time category, but
he hasn't won a title. He hasn't even challenged for it yet. Yeah.
But you definitely get the sense that if he had a title fight by now, he probably would have been a champion by now.
Him versus Conor. Jesus Christ. That's what I want to say. Him versus Conor in Russia, or him versus Tony. Tony Ferguson and him would be a very interesting fight.
What's interesting about those two fights is you have basically polar opposites. Khabib Nurmagomedov is a control-based fighter, whereas Tony Ferguson is a scramble-based fighter. And just that clash in styles is going to be fascinating. With regards Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov, the feeling one gets is that if they did fight, it would be a complete shutout in one of two directions. It's either like a man beating up a child on the ground, or it's just a flush knockout. A guy unable to cover distance properly and walking into a left hand and just being catastrophically KO'd. And you feel like there's potential for it to go in both directions. And that's a fight I don't think goes the distance. It's one way or the other.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like what Conor presents that's interesting in terms of danger is speed and one-shot knockout power with his hands.
And Khabib has been hurt coming in.
By Michael Johnson. It's really the only adversity he ever suffered inside the octagon.
And he dealt with it well. Yeah. That's a good sign for Khabib.
It's the sliver of hope that every opponent clings to. They watch that one moment where Michael Johnson clipped him. Yeah. And you're like, look, he's human.
Yeah.
He can be hurt. It's like the scene in Terminator. If it bleeds, I could kill it.
I believe that was Predator.
Oh, yeah. What did I say, Terminator?
Yeah. You just fucked up your Arnold reference.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, I did fuck it up. But I think that Conor has been overwhelmed on the ground, though.
Yes.
And he's been overwhelmed by Nate Diaz. Yeah. And he's been controlled on the ground by Chad Mendes.
One gets the feeling that whatever amount of control they were able to impose on him would be nothing compared with what Khabib could impose. Yeah. Moreover, Khabib is it's a much more dangerous form of control. Khabib has a program of hitting people on the ground which is substantially better than either of the two athletes you just mentioned.
Yes.
And the big difference is when Khabib gets you on the ground, you're not getting up.
No. You're getting mauled. And it's almost like a spider. Like he's injecting venom into you and slowly but surely like weakening your body.
Yeah.
Like you see after the first round when Barboza gets up, it's like, okay, you mean he's alive still, but this is a different person now. Yeah. And going into the second round, I mean, Barboza gave an admirable account of himself. I mean, showed himself to be a true warrior.
He did try a couple of spinning back kicks, and some of them were relatively close. You know?
Barboza's kicking heavy strategy, though, is very different than Conor's. Conor's kicks are just the opposite. His kicks are just probes. He's sort of poking at you, and putting things out in front of you, and he's just trying to ding. He's just trying to drop that hard left hand on you.
He's a fascinating guy to watch.
Fascinating guy to watch.
I always undervalued him. When he first came in the UFC, I said, it's hype. But the more I studied, the more I saw. Yeah, he's very, very skilled.
Well, he mind fucks people. He mind fucks people in a way that, but I don't think he's mind fucking Khabib.
I don't think that works on Khabib.
I don't think that's going to happen. I just think that we're dealing with a totally different kind of human being. Those people from Dagestan are just so hard. It's just a hard part of the world. They're made of hardier stuff. You know what I mean? It's just like they have to deal with way more. Not that people in Ireland are soft. They're fucking hard people too. I just think that I've always said the most important, if you have a pyramid of technique when it comes to mixed martial arts, the base of the pyramid, the most important thing is the ability to control the grappling, ability to take a guy down. If you can take a guy down and control him, you have a significant advantage. You can choose where the fight takes place. And if you're competent in the stand-up, which Khabib is definitely competent in the stand-up, so you are adequate in the stand-up but overwhelming when it gets to the ground, you can present problems with a guy standing up, which cases problems the guy has to deal with, the striking aspects, which open up the takedowns.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, but I'll go a little further. Whenever someone asks me, what are the programs? What do you look for when you see a guy dominating fights? What makes someone go in the right directions with their training and their fighting itself? I always say there's three things. If you show me a fighter who can, 1, dominate the setups, 2, dominate the pace of the fight, and 3, how can I phrase this? Dominate the simple direction of the fight. 3 things. Dominate the setups, dominate the pace, dominate the direction. You show me a fighter who can do those 3 things, and I'll show you a fighter who can win 95% of the fights he gets into. Dominate the setups, dominate the pace, dominate the direction. Think about someone like Khabib or anyone who comes from a strong wrestling or judo, jiu-jitsu with takedowns based fighters. They're always going to be able to dominate the direction. They determine whether it goes down to the ground or whether it stays standing. Khabib always dominates the pace of the fight. Once you're on the ground, you're on top. The other guy's just reacting to what you're doing, trying to get back up to his feet, etc., etc. You're dominating pace. If there's one weakness that Khabib has, is he's not as strong at dominating the setups to get to those areas where he can dominate pace, and et cetera, et cetera. If he's going to lose a fight, it's going to be in that area. And Conor, more than anything else, is a guy who dominates the setups. You said it before. The kicks are probes. They're not kicks. He's not trying to hurt you with the kicks. He's probing. He hurts you with this.
Yeah.
Okay? So Conor's skill is he's a master of dominating setups, especially in the standing position. But Khabib's mastery out of those three critical areas for domination in all forms of fighting is he's incredibly dominant in determining the direction of the fight and the pace of the fight. That's why he never gets tired in his fights. He's got a very high work rate, but he never gets tired. You never see him just completely shattered, despite the fact he's working hard the whole time.
And despite the fact that he significantly weakens himself to make 155 pounds, which apparently he's done far better now. He had a real nutritionist heading into this camp, and it was much easier for him to cut the weight.
I'd be fascinated to see him fight at 170.
Well, that's a plan.
Yeah.
Apparently, that was a plan, and Woodley was joking around about it, saying he'll send him nutritionists. He'll say, keep his psycho ass down at 155 was his exact.
That's funny.
That's his exact quote. Yeah. Yeah,
with regards to your point before, you saying this core combat skill, the most important one that you as a commentator look for when you look at fighters. Can you determine? You put grappling skill as the number one thing, whether it be wrestling, whether it be sambo, whether it be jiu-jitsu, or what have you. I would go further and say, there's three things that I look for: who dominates the setups, who dominates the pace, who dominates the direction.
The UFC has a model, right? And it worked in the Jose Aldo fight. That model is you just promote the holy fuck out of a fight. You travel the world. You promote the shit out of it. You scream at each other at press conferences. You do all that stuff for months and months and months, and those things sell like crazy.
If it's Conor McGregor.
So who have they ever done it with besides Conor McGregor like that?
No one really sells like that. They, a little bit with Ronda, I guess, but she didn't have the same kind of chops as Conor. So Conor's the only one, but I don't know. Maybe it's because he had a layoff. Maybe it's after the Floyd thing. I think it does well. I don't think it breaks Conor versus Nate too. Well, I don't think it breaks 1.6 million.
What I think happened was Conor made $100 million, and he was like, I'm just gonna train.
I think there's that, and it also goes, that took so much energy to do all that, and everyone knows me as that guy. I have the toughest fight of my life coming up. I'm taking every precaution necessary not to overtrain, not to use all my energy. I'm in the fight of my life, and I'm going to train like it. I'm shutting down everything. You can post the fucking me throwing the dolly through the window 1,000 times. I'll do the press conference on Thursday. Other than that, man, I have got to get ready for the fight of my life. That's the way I'm looking at it.
I think you're right, and I think this is the fight of his life. I think stylistically, it's a nightmare matchup.
I think it's a nightmare matchup for both of them. I think anyone who goes, Conor, he can't wrestle, he can't do this, he's just going to get taken down and pounded out. You're so off, it's not even funny. You don't know the game, man.
He absolutely is capable of stuffing a takedown or two in the early going. That's what's up. Because in the early going, he's got that stinger of a left hand.
His movement, his
footwork, and Khabib is going to know that coming in. He's going to be a little hesitant. He's not going to walk towards him like Edson Barboza did, or he did in the Edson Barboza fight.
You can't.
Because Barboza is mostly kicks. Barboza throws a lot of kicks, a lot of Thai-style kicks, and Khabib just put a tremendous amount of pressure on him and then got a hold of him. But Conor's going to crack him with hands, and his footwork is way better.
Yes.
He's just way better at moving in and moving out.
I think when people go, it's either Conor starches him and gets the KO, or Khabib just takes him down for 5 rounds and pounds him out. I think it's a classic fight. I think it's back and forth. I think it's a fucking dog fight. Yeah. I think it's a fight of our lives, man. I really do.
I think you're probably right.
I think you're getting a fucking great fight from two guys where there's more on the line than just win or lose. I think with Khabib and what he represents, and talking to his team captain, Josh Thompson, he goes, Khabib's going to retire after this.
Really?
He wants to beat Conor and retire.
Really?
He wants to retire like the Floyd Mayweather of MMA, 27-0, beat the UFC's poster boy, and he walks off in the sunset. Unless they get him a super fight with GSP or something, he's done.
Really? Wow. That's shocking. He's young.
Very shocking. But think how long he's been doing this.
Yeah.
Since he's
His
4, he's been fucking up grizzly bears. So he's like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm over this, man. And not to mention, he lives with his family, man. He still lives with his mom and dad, his wife, and his 2 kids, same house.
Wow.
That's what kind of monster you're dealing with. And then for Conor, I think it's a legacy fight where, you know, he's coming off the Floyd Mayweather kind of train there where, you know, it was a success either way you look at it. He made $100 million and he competed against the best of all time and lasted more rounds than anyone thought and trained for a complete boxing match. So his striking's going to be better going this fight. But for him, it's not about the money. You see him, the one interview he's done on Mac Life, you can see it. It's like it's a vintage Conor. We go, oh shit, we got one here, man. This isn't, you know, the Floyd Mayweather's more of a show. Like, you know, we didn't think he was going to win that. This one, you look at, oh shit, that's vintage Conor. This motherfucker's coming to fight, and he might get taken down. Yes, I guarantee you, he gets taken down. That motherfucker's gonna get back up. He's gonna get up. He's gonna keep getting up, and Khabib's gonna keep coming. And we got a dog fight, man. I think both guys are gonna be fucked up after this fight, and it's gonna be a classic.
It could be. Or
fast forward, fucking just Khabib gets starched in 7 seconds.
It
People
could
should
be
be
that,
playing
too.
this on a loop. Just playing this on a loop.
Look, Khabib's got to get through the fire. You know, he's got to get through the fire in the early going. He's got to close that distance, and he's got to do it with precision without letting his nerves affect him, right? I mean, he's got all the shit talking Conor's done to him. You've seen him rattled at the press conference.
He's rattled. When he started talking about his dad, he's rattled. And I think we've also never seen Khabib fight with high stakes.
Right.
Like when he fought Al Iaquinta, that wasn't high stakes. Al's an amazing fighter, but that's not the same as fighting Conor McGregor.
Right.
When he's fighting Edson Barboza, that's not high stakes. When you're fighting Conor McGregor, Conor takes all the chips on that poker table, puts it all in the middle, goes, I'm all in. You have to be all in. I do well under these circumstances. How do you respond?
Yeah.
So we've never seen Khabib, and everyone goes, "Oh, his cardio's great." It is great, but when that Irish nation is rocking that fucking arena, and there's all this pressure, his heart rate's gonna go up, and he's gonna be like, "God, I fucking hate this guy." Khabib's never fought a guy who he hates. He hates Conor.
Yep.
How is he gonna be overzealous and open himself up?
Yep.
There has to be something there, and we don't
Aldo.
know exactly. Like
Aldo was an assassin until that fight.
complete
People
one of the
forget.
best of all time.
Yeah, still is. But that fight exposed how good Conor's psychological game is, because months and months of being on tour with Conor, those press conferences, Conor stealing his belt and screaming at him and getting in his face, and then starches him with one punch. Oh,
Amazing. But what else is interesting is, remember, Conor is an amazing counter puncher. Well, to be an amazing counter puncher, you need a guy to punch at you. Khabib's not going to punch at him.
right.
Unless it becomes an ego thing like you did with Al or Edson Barboza, where you just walk him down, there's no respect. He might throw some punches, so it's going to be interesting for Conor to find those angles when a guy's not playing the game.
Well, it's also, Khabib has had a history of struggling to make weight. He cannot struggle to make weight for this fight. He's got to be on point.
He came in that press conference at 174. They said this motherfucker started camp at 180-something. Like, he's never been more serious for a fight.
Which, for people listening, if you're saying, like, well, but he fights at 155, he used to weigh 200.
200, yeah.
Yeah, and then get down to 155, and it was not good. I mean, the Michael Johnson fight, he struggled. He had, like, some real shutdown issues. And then the Tony Ferguson fight, they pulled him out of the fight. He can't have any of that nonsense this weekend.
Oh, no. I don't think we
gotta
will.
be on point.
The nonsense, the only thing where, like, Jamie told me he's going to the fight, I would never go to this fight. I think there's...
What?
I would not go to this fight for this reason. I'm a complete
What?
pussy. I think something's going to happen in the crowd between the Russians and the Irish. I think that
Why do you think that?
just the animosity between the two. They hate each other so bad. If this fight happens for Conor, you're going to have upset Russians. If it happens for Khabib, you're going to have upset fucking Irish. I think it's gotten bigger than just a UFC fight.
Really?
I do, man.
So you don't...
It's so hostile.
You think you wouldn't go to this fight because the potential the violence breaks out?
Correct. I also don't like going to UFC fights. I also don't like going to UFC fights.
Why
but
don't you like it? Because you used to fight?
Yeah, it's just stressful for me. It's just super stressful for
Do
me.
you feel like you're going to fight again when you're
Yeah,
there?
I get the nerves, and I'm just like, oh God. I go complete opposite of that now. I try to get more relaxed when I'm doing stand-ups. I go.
Right.
I don't want to be in that scared mode anymore.
Yeah, that's interesting.
My heart rate, and I'm just sweating the whole time. I'm just like around, like sweating. I look like shit.
Pull up that card. Let me see the rest of the card.
Dude, if you're Tony Ferguson, it's like, oh yeah, and Tony's fighting.
Right. I know, and he's fighting Pettis.
It's not an easy fight for a comeback fight for Tony.
I mean, I'm just amazed that he's able to fight again so quickly after knee surgery.
You know what's interesting to me is I asked Josh Thompson, who knows Khabib, and obviously you can talk to DC about it, but I go, dude, Tony's back. Like, if Khabib were to win, he'd fight Tony, right? And he goes, no interest. That fight does nothing to him mentally. He just doesn't care about it. I'm like,
Khabib just doesn't care.
Yeah, he's like, not with Tony.
So he really just wants to fight Conor and then get out.
Wants
or
to
fight GSP.
Beat, from Josh Thompson's mouth, from Khabib. He wants to beat the UFC's poster boy, Dana's poster boy, and walk the fuck out. Unless they give him a super fight.
Who the fuck has ever been 26-0 as a champion?
Now,
I think that's the only one.
Yeah, but 26-0 for sure. He's fucking.
Who else has been an undefeated champion?
Undefeated champion? Well,
John Jones.
Conor was undefeated.
But John Jones, did he fight Matt Hamill before he won the title?
He fought Matt Hamill on The Ultimate Fighter. Roy Nelson, Brendan Schaub.
No, it wasn't The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, it was The Ultimate Fighter finale. Because I fought Roy Nelson, John Jones fought Matt Hamill.
Right, not on the Ultimate Fighter.
No, you know when they do the finale.
Yeah. That's a bullshit loss, though.
Oh my God! You got a loss from whooping a dude's ass so bad.
He smashed
him. You know what? As far as undefeated champions,
who? I don't think there's one.
Henan Brow.
Oh, he won, but he lost his first fight.
Yeah.
Henan Brow lost his first ever UFC fight.
I don't know. He was like he had like 30 wins in a row or some shit, but had a weird loss back in Brazil.
Yeah, he lost his first MMA fight rather.
Ronda.
Yeah, Ronda.
Ronda was undefeated.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, Ronda's only two losses were the two title fights between Holly and Amanda. Let's see. What do you got there, Jamie? What are you pulling up?
List of undefeated MMA champions.
Ben Askren hanging around.
Yeah, Ben Askren's for sure one of them. But Ben Askren, to me, and I've had him on the podcast. I've said this 100 times.
I love the guy.
He's Brian Ortega. But Brian Ortega isn't really a champion.
Well, these aren't champions, are they? These just undefeated MMA fighters.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
These aren't champions. Ben's the one guy who I'd love to see come out of retirement and fight Khabib.
He's the one guy that's my biggest disappointment that guy never fought in the UFC.
It's a fucking shame.
But the thing is, like, Khabib wouldn't fight. Like, nobody knows who he is outside of the hardcore guys like
why
you
would
or
you
myself.
Fight him?
Why would you fight him? And maybe lose? Maybe get out wrestled.
Here's the only if you're going to say something about Khabib, he's 27-0. He really, when you look at the body of work from Conor compared to Khabib, it's not even close. The wins that Conor has are remarkable.
Yes.
You look at the Max Holloway, Chad Mendes, Jose Aldo.
What he did to Eddie Alvarez.
I mean, ridiculous.
That was ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Then Nate Diaz win, Nate Diaz lost. Like, you just look at the caliber of opponents that he's faced from a very young age. It's a nightmare. And then you look at Khabib. He's 27-0. His biggest win's probably Barboza. Dos Anjos when he was a little weathered, but you know. But Barboza is a perfect stylistic matchup for him.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
we don't know with Khabib. We know he's damn good, but how good?
He's had one weird moment in his entire career. That's against Michael Johnson when Michael Johnson cracked him, wobbled him for a second, and then he took him down and smashed him.
The Gleason
T-Bow
fight got a little dicey too.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, boy, I don't remember that fight at all.
But with Michael Johnson, it's funny to me because Michael Johnson landed that big overhand, and people go, "Oh, Khabib has a weak chin." I'm like, well, he's never been dropped. He's never been.
Yeah, I mean,
he's never been sat on his ass
Michael Johnson
ever.
starched Dustin Poirier with one punch. Don't forget about that. Michael Johnson can fucking punch.
Yeah, he's explosive as shit.
Yeah, I mean, he caught Khabib, and Khabib got rocked for a second, and then weathered the storm, took him down, smashed him. It was a total dominant performance. Yeah, if you look at his performance, like you look at his resume, Pat Healy was a tough fighter.
Tough vet.
That showed. Abel Trujillo, he smashed Abel Trujillo.
Remember Abel, he took down more times than anyone inside that octagon. 21 times, I think. And he was a college wrestler.
Mm-hmm. And a strong guy, too.
Yeah.
Abel's strong as shit.
And that's Gleason T-Bow. When is that, 2012? That's the juicy
Yeah,
T-Bow.
the real big fight was the Barboza fight. And then Al Iaquinta was, I mean, as his last minute gets. And he still went 5 whole rounds with Iaquinta, which was interesting for a lot of people. Like, I talked to Eddie Alvarez after that fight, and he was like, very interesting.
I love
very
Eddie.
Interesting. Yeah, I was like, you saw a lot of things in that fight, huh? And he was like, yeah. He's like, once the fight got into the later rounds and he's still standing up with guys, you like go, whoa, all right.
It's so interesting to me because when you talk to anyone from AK, obviously they're super pro Khabib, but they're like, dude, this isn't even a fight. Like this, what do you? This is one of Khabib's easier fights. He's definitely had way tougher matchups. I'm like, you're crazy, man. They're like, you should see Khabib go against Ed Ruth, who's an All-American Penn State wrestler. Like, he fucks him up. He takes him down. I'm like, what? But that's that's
wrestling.
That's that wrestling. That dance, that rhythm. Conor's not on that rhythm.
No.
You're talking about a different animal.
You're talking about a guy who is one of the best fencers in the game, meaning can like jump in with one shot and put you out. And he can do it moving back. He can do it moving forward. He can time you, and he'll be very calm in there. You will get the very best Conor McGregor.
He's also no slouch on the ground. People think he's just going to get taken down and like get crucifixed right away. You're out your goddamn mind. Yeah. The guy trains with Dylan Dennis. He's brought in these Dagestani wrestlers. Like, he's training with the lead of the lead. He's what Khabib's going to do.
Yeah.
It's way easier to train for Khabib than it is Conor.
That shit's way out of line. I mean, throwing a dolly at the bus, that's not what a martial artist does. If you stop and think about what we value about martial arts in terms of teaching children honor and respect and discipline and the things when we think of as a classical martial artist like Lyoto Machida or someone like that bowing to their opponent, that is not. This is theatrics. This is hype. But in all fairness, the UFC used that to sell that fight. I mean, that was a big part of their promotional campaign was seeing Conor throw the dolly at the bus and the screaming and the yelling. You're setting an example. There's something going on outside of the actual contest itself. There's all this extracurricular violence, right? There's throwing a dolly at a bus, shattering in the window, all these guys running and screaming, get off the bus. And then they're promoting this. They're showing this. And then everyone's shocked that it escalates after the fight itself. One of the, in some ways, one of the more interesting moments of the fight was Khabib on top of Conor, beating the shit out of him, going, let's talk now. Have you seen that video?
Yeah.
That's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
It's like, come on, let's talk. Bam! And he's just slamming him. Bam!
He told him he was going to do that before the fight, too. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk. We're going to talk.
Right.
When I'm on top of you and you're tired and I'm beating the fuck out of you, that's when we're going to talk. And that's what he did. This is all not what Khabib does.
Right.
This is outside of his. If you look at his standard behavior, he's very respectful. I mean, he's never had an incident like this ever in a fight. All of his fights before that are him shaking his opponent's hand, doing the standard stare down, standard stuff, talking about his skill set and what he's going to do. And there's no disrespect. There's no insults. There's none of this.
That's what I mean about Khabib.
Yeah, but not Conor.
Yeah.
I mean, this is. But here's the other thing. On the other side, it makes it fun. I'm very torn because all the shit that he talked to Jose Aldo, look, that was a big factor in Jose Aldo charging at him, losing his composure, face first, and getting clipped with that left hand. That's a big factor, is the emotional angst that he had gone through for months and months on the road with this guy.
The mental warfare.
Yeah, I mean, that mental warfare is a real thing. It just didn't work with Khabib. It had the opposite effect. With Khabib, he's like, I can't wait to get my fucking hands on you. It wasn't, I can't believe this guy's saying these things to me. With Khabib, but it ramped up the violence to the point where he was letting you know, like, hey, this is real to me. Like, if you want to act thuggish, and we'll just keep going. I'll keep taking this. Like, he didn't want to stop after Conor had tapped. Like, he was holding on to him. And he's letting him know, hey, motherfucker, like, this is real. This is not just shit talking. Conor was saying to him, this is just business. It's just business. And he's like, let's talk now. Let's talk now. Like, he's like, this is not business to him. So to him, fights, I mean, this is what he said in the press conference. This is a respect sport. And this sport should be about two men expressing themselves to the best of their physical ability inside the cage. Just doing their best against the best fighters in the world, and that should speak for itself, and that they should have respect and honor outside of it.
I wish you would have had the chance to say that.
Yeah, we didn't have a chance.
The sad part was him letting the emotions take over what he felt, and instead of just getting the belt tied on and kind of killing them with kindness at the end and saying that and having that chance to put that in everyone's minds and ears.
He did in the post-fight interview, but I mean, how many, or the post-fight press conference, but how many people got a chance to see that?
A lot less.
I mean, just a few thousand, I'm sure, and as in comparison to the 2.4 million that downloaded the pay-per-view and the many more that saw YouTube clips and Instagram clips, and I mean, everybody saw it. It's unfortunate, but it's also a financial windfall. Like the whole thing. It's weird because part of what makes Conor so interesting is that he's so good at talking shit. He's hilarious, and he knows how to back it up. But when we saw him fight Khabib, he fell short. It's really that simple. When skill versus skill, he fell short. And the shit talking led to Khabib being taking it very personal at the end, and then pointing at Dylan Dennis and jumping off the top of the cage. The whole thing was just, it's so fucking crazy. But the idea that people should be surprised after Conor throws a dolly at the bus and then still winds up able to fight. I mean, just what did he do? Paid some money, did some, I mean, we got to do some service. What is it? His community service? I don't even know what he has to do.
I don't either.
That's where it's not.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, throwing a dolly is fucking way worse than punching a guy who punches people for a living, which is Dylan Dennis is a professional fighter. He's a professional fighter. He jumps out. He takes a swing at him. They're screaming, and Dylan's like, fuck you, and he's like, fuck you, and there's a bunch of people get involved, and then a bunch of other people jump in. The whole thing was nuts. But the idea that we should be shocked after him throwing a dolly at a bus because Khabib's on the bus, those Russians don't fucking play like that, man.
Yeah. Did you see the videos afterwards in Dagestan where they're shooting off the Uzis and AK-47s?
Yeah.
So I wrestled there when I was like 18. Wrestled there, and it was crazy. They were taking us around everywhere in G-Wagons, and the ones in front of us had like armed, machine guns on top of them. The one behind us, armed machine guns on top of them.
Oh.
And then what was it? We were walking through one of the streets, and there's these big chains that are in between the road and the sidewalk. And we're walking down the sidewalk, and all of a sudden there's like a laser that comes over, and our guys are like, we got to go. All of a sudden a car came up onto the sidewalk, started driving like they were going to plow us down. We had to jump into the road to not get hit. And I don't know why that happened, but after that we weren't allowed the hotel we were in. We had like balconies to where we could look out. Well, they had to move our rooms to where we're inside, to where we couldn't have a balcony and everything else, to where the just because of that threat, because of the laser that came, because of the truck that came up onto the sidewalk and tried to run us over.
There was some crazy rumor that someone got arrested outside of the T-Mobile Arena. See if that's true. If someone got arrested with a gun outside the T-Mobile Arena after the fight or during the fight. Because there was some sort of crazy talk about threats. The problem is you don't know how much of that's bullshit.
Right.
You know, I mean, I probably should have researched that before we talked about it. But you see anything? Bullshit? I don't. Did they post that? I don't know.
I heard the same thing though.
You heard it too.
I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I heard it on Instagram. But
yeah, they don't play around.
The Russians it's a different world, man. Right. Especially Dagestan. That's a hard part of the country. Not that Dublin isn't hard, but it's like that. They're not known for their humor and shit talking.
Yeah, well, I went into a store. I went into a store, like a little market, and I was whistling in Dagestan, and I didn't know that was something disrespectful. But someone came right up behind me and just slapped me on the back of the head, like an older man, probably like a Khabib's dad, came up, and I knew that he was a bad dude, so I wasn't going to do anything. I just didn't know. Translator had to come up and say, "You don't whistle in public." You know,
like, you're having a good day.
Yeah. Don't have a good day. Yeah.
Whistling's disrespectful?
Yeah. And I can't even whistle that good. But I was just kind of whistling to myself. I didn't even know I was doing it.
What do they think about air guitar?
Yeah, that's probably bad. It's probably bad. I know you don't show the bottom of your feet.
What?
Like if you, that's for sure. You can Google that. But if you are sitting there and you like cross your legs and you show the bottom of your foot, that's culturally really disrespectful to show the bottoms of your shoes or the bottom of your feet. So they just don't play around there. And then
so If you have your foot on top of your thigh like this, like sitting like this.
Don't do that.
Can't do that?
Don't do that. Someone will come and slap your leg and make sure your feet are both on the ground. So just a lot of cultural stuff.
It's a hard part of the world, man. It's a hard part of the world.
So
well, they're always climbing up those mountains. I mean, it's just jagged mountains. I remember it was one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. Just stunning. But just the hard life. Did you see that not Nike, but Reebok video that Khabib did?
Yes.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But just seeing that's the real life there.
There's a photo of him that he posted on his Instagram with his father. Him and his father standing right after the fight. He did it, like to explain that this what this is about to him is honor. It's not about money. It's about honor and respect. And it's a photo of him standing with his father with this incredible mountain range behind him.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a different part of the world. So that strategy with Conor backfired.
Do you think there's a point where
there it is.
The
Look
UFC,
how gorgeous that is.
Just
that's incredible. What a photo.
That they should say, hey, let's turn the talking down a little bit.
How can you? That's what got Conor to the dance. I mean, it's one of the reasons why
it has escalated.
It has escalated since Aldo to then Mayweather bringing in his dad and the assaults and different stuff like that, and then Khabib going after his family, religion, everything else.
Yeah.
So it's almost like he has to. I think you were saying this.
Yeah, he's got to one up himself, and for me, it just kind of felt like. It wasn't a surprise. It was kind of like the karma for the UFC promoting the bus and, and letting it just keep getting deeper and deeper.
But they say it's the story, and it is the story. But at a certain point, if it's something that was illegal or hurt somebody, maybe you don't use that.
I was honestly shocked that they were using it in promotion. I was like, well, I shouldn't be shocked. I thought that when I saw the promo and I saw the dolly flying at the bus and then the video from the inside with the glass shattering, I was like, okay, I guess I shouldn't be shocked because it did happen. It is a part of the story. But I mean, is this encouraging this? Like, what is? I mean, they're using it to sell the biggest fight in the history of the sport. Turned out to be true. It is the biggest fight in the history of the sport. Is that good? That doesn't seem good.
No.
That seems. It seems. I don't know,
not from my perspective.
But it's it's entertainment versus sport, right? When it comes to sport, like you'd never use that to advertise the Olympics, right? They would never have an assault to advertise the Olympics. But this is something different. It's commerce. There's a lot of money involved. It's a huge cultural spectacle. It's Conor McGregor, he transcends sport. He's this superstar in just the world of just show business. So it's different.
And as much as we're talking about wrestling, he impressed me stand up.
He cracked Conor with that big right hand.
He stood up enough to just say, I'm going to sit here and take a few, and I'm going to give a few. But then he went to probably what his game plan was, I would assume.
Well, you have to stand for a little while because if he just shoots in, he'll get caught with a knee or caught with a punch rushing in. But he landed the bigger shot. There was one big giant shot that was landed in that fight, and it was by hand.
Yeah.
I mean, Conor hit him with some pretty good front kicks to the body and some other things, but didn't really get much off on the feet.
Not like classic left jabs that just break people down.
Yeah, and on the ground, he just got mauled. And it's one of those things where you see that guy, in the beginning, guys fight him off a little bit, and then as the fight wears on, he just gets more and more dominant. They get more and more exhausted. Really, this fight just makes Al Iaquinta look like a god. I mean, that's the most impressive thing about it. Al Iaquinta went 5 rounds with him, stood toe-to-toe with him, and, gave him at least a struggle. At least he gave him a bit of adversity.
Yep.
Managed to survive on the ground much better than Conor did. Managed to get back up to his feet. Managed to stuff a bunch of takedowns. And on the feet was a real threat. Obviously Khabib didn't prepare for Al Iaquinta. He prepared for Conor. But Al Iaquinta didn't even prepare for 5 rounds. He only prepared for 3. So there was so much to that fight.
What do you think will happen with Conor now?
I'm worried what happens with Khabib.
Yeah.
I hope they sit everybody down and they go, look, everybody's all right. Come on.
Yep.
So the guy who rushed in the cage and punched Conor in the face, That guy should be in the most trouble. Because, you know, the guy just fought 4 rounds, got the fuck beaten out of him, got choked. I heard a lot of people, there's a lot of silly non-experts out there saying that wasn't a choke or that wasn't a neck crank. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. That is absolutely a neck crank. When someone gets their arm around your head like that, and then what they do is they grab it like this, and they pinch the elbow. They put the forearm on his back like this. So as the arm is across the neck, and then they grip it like this, and the forearm goes into the back. And as you're pulling like this, you're pushing with your forearm and yanking with your hand. It is a terrible neck crank. They call it, Dean Lister actually has a video on it. He calls it the fulcrum choke. And it's a nasty choke. So, you know, I thought he was going under the neck. Here, you can see it here. Dean Lister, who's a world champion, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and that's my friend Hans Molenkamp behind him. Now watch how he does this. See how he's grabbing a hold of it, and what he's going to do is he's going to clamp his hands. See how he grips his hands?
Yep.
And so
it crushes
he's
the
doing
esophagus.
it like this. No. You can go right over your face. It can go over your neck. It can go over your face. It can go over your fucking cheekbones. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even have to go under the chin. If it goes under the chin, that's awesome. But you see what's going on with his forearm? Yeah. See how he's pulling with his arms? Yeah.
Lever arm.
Or you could do it. Some guys do it like this, but I think this is probably the best way to do it. But as you're right here, this part just digs that elbow. Yeah, perfect. Perfect example. See, he's pulling on it with his right arm, and then his left arm is pushing down with his forearm on Conor's shoulder. It is a nasty, nasty neck crank. And your head is getting popped off. And first of all, that guy could squeeze the shit out of you. All you have to do, there's a bunch of guys who could put you to sleep like that. Marcelo Garcia's one. He's put guys to sleep without even getting under the chin. He just gets your head. Just gets your head in there and squeezes. Eddie Bravo can do that too. If he gets your head in there, you don't even have to, it doesn't even have to be under the chin. He just really puts you to sleep with your own fucking head. Just wraps it around your head and squeezes it so tight that no blood is getting to your brain. Yeah, so there's a lot of armchair quarterbacks out there saying that wasn't a neck crank. You're incorrect. And have Dean Lister do that shit to you, and you will know
I'm pretty sure I had Jocko do that to me. My throat is still...
You don't want... Saturday night, what are your thoughts? Now that we're sitting here, it's Monday morning. The Khabib McGregor fight went down Saturday night.
Obviously, hugely disappointed that we didn't get the result on the night. I still enjoyed it. I thought it was a great fight. I'm looking forward to watching it back many times. All of Conor's fights, I always pull a load of lessons away that I can pass on to the next generation of guys. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the fight, and I'm devastated that we didn't get the win.
How much time did he have to prepare for this fight?
I mean, he's always in the gym. He's always knocking about. But I guess it was official about 10 weeks out. But even since the Eddie fight, I kind of knew, or at least I thought, his next MMA fight would be Khabib. It just kind of made sense. If it wasn't going to be the Diaz, but then as time went on, that seemed less and less likely. And Khabib obviously was doing great, kept on winning. So there was a path that was going to collide.
Was there anything that was surprising in the fight?
The right hand in the second round was a cracker. It was beautiful, overhand right. I mean, it's a staple of wrestlers, overhand right and close, but he doesn't generally do that. He's more jab and then close, but that was a great shot. The style of takedowns, everything was kind of what we expected, and we'd spent a lot of time in preparing for that. I kind of expected round one for sure going to get a takedown. So the goal of round one was to get out of it still having energy. We didn't want to put a huge amount of effort into trying to get back up in round one. We'd seen that happen many times in his other opponents, and they kind of got back to the stool, really tired. So round one, make them pay, do our best on the way in, fight as hard as we can. But if we do end up down, which it was against the fence, figured it would be there, tried to stay seated up. If we end up on our back, just try to play guard until the bell, except it'll be a 10-9 round. For round two, again, I same plan. Do as much damage as we can, but if we end up on our back, don't put a huge amount of effort into trying to get up. He's an absolute master at regrounding people. That turned out to be a 10-8 round. You know, he got some good shots there, and obviously he landed the great right hand. So that was a bit more than we hoped for. Round 3, things started kind of turning a little bit in our favour. He did a lot better at keeping it in the middle, defending the takedowns.
So the plan was to slow him down a little and watch him slow down a little bit in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So I think at the beginning the consensus was Conor knocks him out in the 1st, or Khabib, you know, takes over from 2 on. Like, for us to win the 3rd round was probably a bit of a surprise to people. But, you know, the Al Iaquinta fight, if you look at that, from round 3 on, he wasn't able to hit any takedowns. So hoped that would be how it would go in round 3. We could defend the takedowns a lot easier and start landing air shots. And that did happen for round 3. Not as well as we planned, not as well as we hoped. And then round 4, you know, we hit another great takedown. Made a mistake giving up the overhook, exposed our back, and that was all she wrote.
Yeah, he has such a unique ability to tie both legs up with his legs.
Yeah, in
He's
round
so
1,
good at that.
in round 1, I thought Conor did well. We had practiced for that to keep our legs bent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you see guys they straighten their legs, and then and Conor did do that a couple of times, but he was able to continuously get a leg free. So not until the last 30 seconds or so of round 1. He didn't really tie them up and get him flat on his back. For the majority of that, he was against the fence, you know, used his hands to keep upright, tried to land little shots. Yeah, if we did end up on our backs, was not to put a massive amount of effort into getting up, just play guard and stay safe, because, you know, the next round starts on the feet and try to do damage there. But it's still tiring, you know. And Conor gets a hard time about his cardio all the time, but who has Khabib faced that didn't look like that after 2 rounds?
Iaquinta.
Yeah.
I mean, I was super impressed with Al Iaquinta in that fight, especially considering he came into that fight looking for a 3-round fight. I mean, that was what he was trained for.
Right.
He was trained for a 3-round fight, and it changes up, and all of a sudden he's in a 5-round fight for the title. Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy set of circumstances. But it almost makes you wonder, and this is, I mean, you could speak to this better than anybody, how much is too much in regard to training for a fight like this? Like, maybe training for a 3-round fight is the way to go when you have to fight a 5-round fight, so you're not so fucking beat up by the time you get to the fight. If you already know how to fight 5 rounds, if you've already done it, and if you're a guy like Conor who's just got so much experience in the game, it might be that it's like there's a point of diminishing returns in terms of your strength and conditioning, and that guys just go too far, push too hard, and just don't have it when it comes to, I mean, how many times have you seen a fighter be overtrained when they fight?
Very often, definitely. You know, they've given their best rounds in the gym, and it's very difficult as well in those last 2 weeks because anxiety is starting to grow, so you want to train harder.
Right.
And you want to get one more spar in, and you want to, you know, because the fight's coming. It's almost like when you're back in school and you're cramming for an exam.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if the exam's tomorrow, I'm going to stay up all night studying.
Right.
You know, and it actually got me through college, so it works somewhat. But in fighting, we got to do the opposite. We got to have a solid taper off period. And that is hard when you're dealing with a 20-something-year-old man, and he's dealing with what's coming around the corner. So, but you know, that's the trainer's job. You know.
How much did he taper off for this fight?
Same as usual. We have about a 2-week taper off period where we start bringing it down. He did actually spar even after that. You know, we were working very hard for this fight in a somewhat limited period of time. So we didn't taper off quite the way we would normally do, but roughly 2 weeks.
If you wanted to do a rematch, and if the UFC did grant a rematch, then this is obviously dependent upon how the Nevada State Athletic Commission handles the legal ramifications of him jumping out of the cage, attacking Dylan Dennis, the subsequent brawl, the chaos that ensued, visas. I mean, you're dealing with a lot of legal shit in this fight that could hold things up. I mean, they held both guys' purses, correct?
Well, they held Khabib's. Conor got his.
Yeah, okay. Conor got his purse paid. so he gets his purse. And Khabib, I mean, who the fuck knows what's going to happen with him? You know, and
I hope they're lenient on him, and not just so we can get a rematch. I mean, I love watching him fight for a start, and I can stretch myself to understand his reaction.
Yeah.
I can stretch myself to understand. I can't stretch myself to understand the other guys' reactions and what they did.
Yes.
For Khabib, he jumped over the cage and he jumps. It's not the end of the world.
Who was the guy that jumped in that was wearing red who punched Conor?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that's his boxing coach, but I'm guessing.
He's
here.
a fighter. He fights for the UFC.
In the red, was that not an old? He wasn't older. No.
We actually work with him.
Oh, okay.
You work with
there
him?
You go.
Yeah.
Who is he?
I don't know his name. I think it's either Islam or Rustam. Yeah, it was either Islam or Rustam. Yeah.
I don't think it was either one of those guys.
Like I know Islam.
It's a different guy.
He was, he hit Dylan.
Yeah.
And a guy in a suit that I heard is his Russian manager. He hit Dylan.
Either way,
but actually in the cage when your man went in and hit him from behind. I can't understand that. Like I said, for Khabib, I didn't think it was, it's
such a foolish thing to do because he'd already won.
Yeah,
I know that Dylan was talking shit and he was angry, but
he actually didn't say anything because I heard a few people saying that. Now I was standing beside Dylan. I didn't see what he did, but I could hear. So he didn't say anything. Now when I watched back, I seen he kind of beckoned them on.
Yeah,
just stupid end of fight stuff. But I didn't think it justified that level of response. Now maybe there was something else in the lead up,
Probably.
Dylan is a bit of a troll online.
Yeah.
So there was probably a bit of a build up of other stuff. But like I said, it wasn't that big a deal to me what Khabib did.
Yeah.
It just really wasn't.
Well, there's two ways of looking at it in terms of like the trash talking. And one way is that, man, does that sell a fight? I mean, it sells a fight. I mean, Conor's one of the best ever at it, if not the best ever at it, talking shit to opponents, getting them riled up. I mean, it is the reason why Jose Aldo lost his composure and came charging face first at Conor. I mean, you got to think emotions played a big part of that. It ramps up your stress. It ramps up the fighter's anxiety, anticipation, and it ramps up the pressure on them to win. And this emotion that they're fighting with fucks up their judgment. It just does, and it's a major tool that Conor uses. But on the other hand, people say, well, I like it when fighters are respectful. And this is one of the things that Khabib's saying. This sport should be about respect. You shouldn't be talking about someone's family. Shouldn't be talking about someone's religion. You shouldn't be talking about someone's country. But, on the other hand, that's one of the reasons why Conor's so fucking huge. It's not just his results. It's all the other things that come along with it. It's the excitement that he generates, the shit talking, the who the fuck is that guy? Like that kind of shit, that's a big part of who he is. It's a part of who he is as this cultural icon. I mean, it's one of the reasons why people love him. I mean, they don't just love his ability inside the octagon, which is quite substantial. They love the swagger. They love when he comes in with rubber arms and struts around the cage. They love all that shit. They love all that shit, but it's like, when is too far? And that is the question. When is too far?
Yeah. Conor's a real divider. Some people will love it and some people will hate it. I'm not really that interested in people's opinions on things. I'm just interested in what is. And what is, that sells fights.
Yeah.
There's a reason he's the highest paid guy. So if that is what is, and that's just natural for him to do as well. It's not an act. It's not... when he's sparring, like him and Artem are the best of friends, and every single spar they shit talk each other. Oh, you're shit today. You're not on form today, and people listen to that and like, oh, they hate each other, and then it's big smiles at the end of it. It's just part of the game for him. It's part. He enjoys it. It's a bit of fun. This one was darker, as Dana said, it definitely was, but it's just part of who he is. I don't really involve myself in it. I try to stay outside of that and just focus on the task in hand.
Does it ever get cringy for you? Because you are a very respectful guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely not my personality. It's absolutely not my personality. But again, I don't find my own opinions on things very interesting. I'm only interested in what is. There's a fact that he does this, and it's got him the results he has. Okay, well, I guess that's what he does. It's not how I am.
Right. I mean, you look at the two biggest names in combat sports, Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor, and they both do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
my favorite fighter back in the day was Fedor. And there was a man that barely said anything, and the purists, if you want to say, loved him. But he was also fighting mostly in Japan, and it's a different vibe.
Culture.
It's a different culture than here.
Yeah.
You could be that guy, and I almost have the two extremes. I've Gunnar Nelson, who you never hear blip out of.
Yes.
And then I have Conor, who's the other end of the scale, and you can only be true to yourself. But I look at their followings and their sponsorship deals and their fight purses and stuff, and it's obvious which one is doing better. If we can agree on the object of prize fighting is to make money, and that's it. The object of martial arts, I think, is very different. But the object of prize fighting, and don't ever lose sight of that. As soon as I hear a fighter saying it's for some other reason, I'll try to make him retire as quick as possible because he's not being smart. You're taking damage for money, and keep that in mind no matter what your choices are.
Do you have guys in the gym that you see that sort of mimic Conor?
Oh, of course. You're dealing with teenagers and 20s.
Yeah.
And that's, I look back at myself, it's a hugely impressionable period of your life. You're looking, young men almost try out different personalities, and you've such a strong personality in the gym. Definitely, I can spot the 18-year-old walking in with the man bun and the suit, telling me he's going to be the next. I probably would have been the same at 18. It's no different. But through again months and years of conversations, not telling them what to do, but conversations, I sort of say this is a completely natural thing to do, but start to find your own voice and find your own way. And if that's who you are, you enjoy that side of it, well, run with it. Yeah. If it's not who you are, even the fans will see through it very quick as well. The fans can see when someone is genuinely doing something and doing it as an act. The weight cutting part of the sport is cloaks and daggers, and you're overhearing conversations and you're Googling. So it was pretty much guesswork on my end. I got him to 145 nearly 20 times on my own. But when we brought George in, and it wasn't even just about making weight. What I noticed with him was that every session was productive. There was no sessions where he didn't have the pop in his shots or soreness, or that would just be a normal part. Whereas when we brought in George, that was a lot. Each session was a lot more effective. So it wasn't just about making the weight; it was making the training camp. Where he was improving the whole way through it. He
got down to 145 a couple times, and he looked like a monster. He looked like a zombie. Yeah. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
I mean, that had to play a big part in your decision to no longer have him fight at that weight class.
Yeah. I mean, we'd already gone up to 155. His final fight before going to the UFC was at 155, and I was kind of like, oh, thank God, this is suiting him better, because when he joined, he was a sort of a scrawny 16, 17-year-old, but then he started becoming a man, so getting down there was getting scarier and scarier. And then his last fight outside the UFC, I thought he looked fantastic. It was a handy weight cut, and he looked like a tank. Now, the offer came in a couple of weeks later. Sean emailed me and said, we're offering you a 145 fight in April. And of course, I told Conor, and he's screaming and running around. We didn't care what weight class. If he had said 125, we would have done it.
Right.
Sean specifically wanted us at 145, and we went back to back to that lighter weight class, and it was almost accidental. And then as soon as we got the opportunity, he went back up again.
Yeah, he looked very thick at the weigh-ins. He looks heavier. He looks bigger.
Yeah, and that's a part of the life cycle of an athlete. If you're with the same guy for over a decade, you're going to see changes. He's 30 now. He's not 18 anymore. There is these different things going on in his life. So that's the benefit, I think, of working with someone for a long period of time, rather than kind of gym hopping. That you'll know what they can and can't do.
And he does a lot of unconventional training, right, in terms of like physical conditioning. Like, I know, is he still doing that all that stuff with Ido Portal?
Yeah, anytime Ido's in Europe, he tends to drop into Ireland. We have a great relationship with him, and he'll play around with that. The reality is most of our time is going to be spent on the fundamentals of MMA. And the great thing with Ido is he especially in training camp, he'll come in near the end where you're just tired of doing single leg defenses. You're tired of doing pad work. And he comes in, he does all these fun games. So we're still working out. He's firing his brain in different ways. He's working on coordination, on balance. For me, as the head trainer, it's like, it's a nice break. I'm sure it was John Wayne Parr I heard say that, when you have a fight coming up, how many miles you're going to run. How many kicks you're going to throw. Every now and again, you want to come in and want to do some on back, jumping in the air, spinning elbows and stuff, because it breaks the monotony. MMA is fantastic. because it's all the martial arts together. You're almost never going to get bored because you can always do something different. But there's still a repetitiveness to it that it's nice to break with something unusual.
Now, how much does training change when you're dealing with a specialist, like a guy like Khabib, who is just a grappling phenom? How much do you shift the emphasis of the training to takedown defense, working on grappling? And do you work mostly takedown defense, or do you just work overall wrestling so that takedown defense becomes a part of that as well?
All of that.
All of that.
But yeah, definitely. We maybe talk about it later. Like, if there's one thing I could change is that I think I was too defensive in my mindset for this training camp. But Khabib has very specific types of takedowns depending on where he is, whether it's shooting on the low single in the middle, and then on the fence. I long before Conor was due to fight him, I loved watching him. That's kind of my area, is defense. I just love, right from the Randy Couture days, how to use defense, and Khabib does it to a new level. One of the takedowns he hit on Conor, he hadn't actually done it until the Alaquinta fight, so it was nice that we kind of got to see that at the high crotch. I'd see a bit of DC in that, the high crotch and then trip on the far leg, and I think he blocked it once, but he did catch him with it. There's very specific takedowns. Definitely for this training camp, it was the most specific that we went. And then I remember about a week out or whenever it was, he did an interview and he said, well, if he doesn't make it, I'll fight Tony. I don't care who it is. And I was going, damn it. I hadn't even looked at Tony's fights in so long. So me and the other coaches okay, quick, what does he do again? Oh yeah, he has that style. Because we were so specific for this one.
Tony could possibly be a fight in the future. When you think about the future now after the Khabib fight, what are you thinking? Are you thinking about just rest, let the dust settle, and then look at the landscape? Like how do you approach it now?
I might, but he doesn't.
What does he?
He's
think?
Screaming and shouting for the rematch within minutes.
It's hard to push for that rematch though after that fight, right?
Sure. No, I understand the logic of that. Tony's kind of earned it and stuff, but I also understand this is a business, and it would be a huge fight. The rematch would be a huge fight.
Don't you think that it would be difficult to sell because of how dominant Khabib was in that fight?
Sure. I do think the round 3 showed promise. Like I said, I would have liked to have changed things up a little bit. Specifically, a more offensive mindset. I thought defensively we did quite well, but offensively we weren't really where we usually are. And right when the fight was over, I was thinking, you know what? I was kind of going into this like not to lose, but not to win. And his shots weren't as crisp as they normally are. He had opportunities to hit him, especially in the third round, and he just seemed to be the range or the something was off.
Do you think how much of it had to do with the fact that he hadn't fought MMA in 2 years?
Absolutely.
Had to, right?
Yeah, of course. And we tried to mimic it as close as we could in the gym, and I brought in guys that he didn't know, and I would say this is fight day, and he would do with George exactly what he's going to do on fight day, and we'd have a referee, and so to get the fight feel, but it's still in the gym with your mates.
Is he at a position now where every fight has to be a gigantic super fight? And is that a problem in that, what I thought after the fight, after it was all over, I was like, what a good fight would be him versus Pettis. Like, that would be a really good fight. And it would be a really interesting fight in terms of stylistic matchup. And it would be a great fight, I think, for Conor to sort of just get a wild 3-round, or even, I guess it would probably be a main event. It would be 5 rounds, but it would be a wild fight that would probably favor him.
Yeah. I mean, the boxing, when Tyson Fury was kind of coming back, they gave him not the toughest guy in the world.
That shit doesn't happen in MMA.
But it doesn't happen in MMA.
Well, it doesn't happen in the UFC.
Specifically the UFC.
Specifically. And there's an issue with that, I think.
Yeah, he was... at his early stages, he was fighting all the time, and as is natural, as you get older and as you achieve more, it is going to start becoming once or twice a year. Right. That's just a natural progression of an athlete. I don't care who you are.
But the wild fights that he could have at 155 pounds, whether it's James Vick or Justin Gaethje or Pettis, or there's good fights for him that aren't necessarily Khabib, they aren't necessarily Tony Ferguson, but they're a good fight to get that timing back, get everything locked in,
100%. But you have to factor in his personality, and he's only fighting now for fights that are really interesting to him. He's not that interested in anybody else. Not that I've heard.
Floyd Mayweather paper.
Oh, yeah.
That's the problem. All that money.
Right. So,
yeah.
What more can he, even with his spending, what more can he buy?
The idea would be the eye on the future and the eye on the rematch. Like getting everything dialed in so that when he does have a rematch with Khabib, he is samurai sword sharp.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
As opposed to having 2 years off, one boxing fight in between them, and then such a grappling heavy contest.
Yeah, I don't disagree. That would be a trainer, for me as a trainer, that would be the ideal.
But it would be hard to motivate him for that.
I think it would be hard to motivate him, and it's not it's not really the UFC model. It was obvious it was going to be those, you know what I mean? It was going to be those two.
But if anybody could tell the UFC what time it is, it's Conor.
Khabib time.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody is the guy that can say, hey, this is what I want a fucking tune-up fight. I want a tough guy.
He absolutely could.
Yeah.
And he absolutely wouldn't. It was like when he lost the Diaz one fight.
Yeah.
And backstage, he was screaming and shouting at all the top brass about getting the rematch at 170 as quick as possible. I'm in the background going, oh, please don't. Did you not see that fight? He's a terrifying individual.
Right.
Let's get a 155 fight and okay, maybe you meet him again, but he was not letting that go. And 4 months later, he fought the exact same guy.
And that's where he is right now with Khabib.
That's all I'm hearing from these.
Yeah, well, listen, you could sell it for sure, especially with the fucking chaos after the fight. Just keep Dylan Dennis at home.
Yeah. He's grounded.
Yeah. So, what would you do differently?
Like I said, from a strategy point of view, my number one thing would be to think more offensively. That we definitely had opportunities to land shots, and when Conor lands shots, watch the Eddie fight back again. It doesn't take him a whole lot of shots. He rarely misses, Even if you look at strikes that didn't land, those strikes were for a reason. They were to see what way he holds his hand, see what he moves. Like, I used to love watching Anderson Silva back in the day, and I thought they have a similar kind of approach. But this one, we just didn't seem to be landing. And when I look back at the training camp, we did spend most of our time with a defensive mindset. And I think that's a mistake.
Even though Khabib does stand a lot and play on his feet a lot, his main objective is to take a motherfucker down.
Yeah.
That's number one.
Khabib, let me ask you this.
But he will fuck around and throw some strikes.
Why are they still talking about a Floyd Mayweather fight?
It's embarrassing. I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
He was just talking about it.
I know. He goes, I have 3 fights left if it's up to me. It's Tony, GSP, and Floyd Mayweather. When I hear that, I want to throw up.
But what do you think? He just wants all that giant paycheck?
Just money and get the fuck out?
Well, do you think he thinks he can beat him because he's such a savage?
Yeah, they do.
He might think he can beat him.
Like, they don't think Floyd can knock him out.
Wow.
They're in for a rude awakening.
Well, he could certainly batter you.
Maybe he lasts all 12, but he'll get battered the fuck
awful.
up.
It'll be awful.
Yeah, but Khabib,
if it's only
payday.
boxing,
you know
it's going to be
paid,
awful.
Khabib. If that's what you want to do, get paid, dude. I'd much rather see him fight GSP.
Yeah, me too. But I don't think it's. I mean, it's a terrible move for him to fight Floyd. Floyd would just look. Floyd is the best boxer, maybe of our era, maybe of all time. I mean, he's undefeated.
Here's the problem: the UFC let Conor do that once. Now he's Conor. We can barely get him to fight. He's worth $100 jillion.
Right.
And they're like, "Dude, please fight." He's like, "Nah, I make so much money off whiskey and this.
Yeah.
I'll fight when I'm ready." They're not gonna let that ever. You're never gonna see that again.
What?
I don't think you're ever gonna see that.
You're crazy. They made money off that too.
It's going to keep happening
as much as it can.
It's going to happen more than ever now. Now that the Fertittas don't own the UFC, and now like this corporation owns it, now everyone is
not while Dana's at the helm. No way.
Wait a minute. What are you saying?
I'm saying that Conor has so much leverage now where it's not a good thing.
So you think they're going to not make someone a giant star who could be a giant star because they're worried that person's going to have leverage?
No, they'll make him a giant star in the UFC. They're not going to let him jump over and do a co-promotion with Floyd Mayweather again.
Maybe put that in the contract.
And if you think they keep doing it, who else would they do it with?
That's the better question. Here's the thing. If they had another Conor, they'd do it the same way. It's the way to make money. It's a smart way to make money. It was a fun fight. We watched it. We got to see. It's an education. It's an education for people that appreciate martial arts because you really got to understand what a world class, top of the food chain, maybe the best of all time boxer does to an MMA fighter.
And you think we're going to pay for it? The general audience can keep paying for that.
I'm not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it was
gig
good.
Is up.
It was good for the sport. And if someone comes along that's different, someone comes along, it's not Floyd, it's someone else, and the same situation arises again, and there's another opportunity to make a shitload of money, they're going to do it again. How many times can you do it with Floyd? Floyd's 40 years old. He probably doesn't want to do it that many more times. The only thing that would fuck Floyd up is his extravagant spending.
Isn't it a bad look for MMA too? So let's say Floyd's 27 at this point, and he's one of the greatest. And we go, here's Conor, smokes him. Here's Khabib, smokes him. Here's Stylebender, smokes him. At what point is UFC like, this is a bad look, man? Our guy's getting fucking torched.
It depends on whether or not it's obvious that they had no chance. Like with Conor, the interesting thing is, like, he landed a couple of shots.
Good uppercut.
And you go, okay, if this guy could take this guy down or even just kick his legs, if Conor could just kick his legs, it would be a wash. And it's interesting to watch someone even fail against someone who's way better at their sport. The real question is, are you ever going to see a world-class boxer? By the time we saw James Toney, he had been like really late in the game. When Vince Phillips fought Masato in K1, he was late in the game. They were on their way out looking for money, right?
Afterthoughts.
Right, afterthoughts. For the most part. Do you ever think you're going to see like a Crawford step into MMA, a Lomachenko step into MMA in their prime?
I don't think so. Why would you? They're making so much money.
I know.
They're making because if they're at that level, they're making so much money. And why would you risk going into the UFC?
Think about in 50 years how awesome that a poster is going to be of Conor and Floyd. Fucking think about how you're going to frame that shit. You're going to be 90 and it's going to be framed.
And I have that shit. I have the official one.
Joe Louis, Max Schmeling.
Yeah, or Muhammad Ali Inoki.
Yeah,
amazing. You know what I mean? Can you imagine having that poster in your living room?
See, I'm all good on that. See, I saw that. It was a great spectacle. I love being part of it, watching it. I'm glad it killed the pay-per-views. I'm out, man. If someone else does it, it's not as fun, I don't think.
What are you talking about? So if someone else comes along,
so you're telling me
the same person wants
Khabib
to
and
fight.
Conor. Or I'm saying Khabib and Floyd. You'd be like,
you're
not gonna watch it?
Well, you're talking a degenerate. I watch women fuck in their underwear beat each other.
Well, then you like it.
Yeah. Okay, me too.
Well, you like it.
Yeah, I'm saying the masses I don't think are.
Don't worry about the masses.
I don't think you're right.
Well, that's what the UFC worries
I think many more people. If Khabib stepped in and tried to fight Floyd right now, if they set it up in 2 months, I guarantee you it would sell at least 1 million pay-per-view
buys. It does better
buys.
than Conor.
And you would like it. You would watch it.
No, I'm saying,
like
you think it does?
No,
I don't think that's close.
I said 1 million. I said it does 1 million.
Dude, Khabib
Floyd could fight
Mayweather would be
fucking
huge.
Jamie for $1 million.
That would be fucking huge.
Do you think it would do 1 million pay-per-views
Are
or
you
more?
kidding?
Or more?
Something like that.
Well, here's the thing.
It would be
They
profitable.
do $1 million. It's Floyd. He doesn't miss.
When who was Floyd's last fight? Was it Pacquiao and then Tim Bradley? He fought Pacquiao, then Tim Bradley, and then retired, right? And Pacquiao got the most pay-per-view numbers ever. But then Tim Bradley, if I'm correct, only got a few 100,000, like 300,000 pay-per-view buys.
Fight. Yeah.
Wasn't that right?
Yeah, that's right.
So then afterwards, he fights Conor and he gets like 2 million, whatever the fuck it was, a giant pay-per-view sale.
Andre Berto,
that's right.
So he fought my apologies, Tim Bradley. So then he fights Andre Berto. That only gets 350,000 or something like that pay-per-view buys. Then he fights Conor, and it's millions of pay-per-views. If he fought Khabib, it would still be better than fighting any of those other guys.
Agree 100%.
Like Bradley. Like if he had a fight with Bradley, or say if
no one's tuning in.
No, it's not going to be that
Manny
many.
Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather is probably going to get that again.
That's a big one. Especially Manny Pacquiao now after he beat Broner, after he knocked out that Australian dude.
He looked good.
He looked very. Jeff
He
Horn.
lost to the Australian guy. He
How
lost
old
to him.
is Pacquiao?
Oh, that's right.
Beat
Who did he-
Matisse
who did
and
he
then
knock Matisse.
and then
That's
and
right.
then
He knocked out Matisse.
Yeah,
How
knocked
old
down
is
Matisse.
Pacquiao?
40.
Okay, he's still good.
Yeah.
I remember when Dustin was making 145.
Crazy.
Right?
He looks like he's having a hard time making 55 now. But look, man, the difference between him at 45 and 55 is pretty significant.
So with Dustin, like I'm kind of biased because he's one of my best friends, right?
Of course.
But you see how Max dominated a lot of guys at 45, and then you talk about Max is like now he's the greatest. Now he's the greatest at 145. He may be the GOAT. He may be greater than Jose Aldo. Like, that's an argument that people can make.
Well, he beat him twice.
Right.
And although he beat him later in his career.
Right.
Jose's not 50 years old. He was in his early 30s.
Yeah. And he was still the number one guy. He was still dominating everybody else.
Yep.
Right? Or
Except
at least
Conor.
beating everybody else except Conor. But, like, the way Max beat those guys, beat Ortega, beat Jose twice, and then Dustin's having these tough fights. He's fighting these same guys. He's fighting Gaethje. He's fighting Eddie. He's winning them. He's convincingly winning them. But when he fights Max, like Max, the fight is Dustin's fight is the same fight that he had with Gaethje. It's the same as far as competitiveness, right? Max was still in there, but Dustin wins these. But like this is where my bias kicks in. I'm like, give that man some credit, man. Like I mean, I know everybody loves Dustin. I mean, not everybody, but people love Dustin. They appreciate the way he fights. They appreciate his style. But I'm like, man, he's taken out like champions. He's taken out champions. Gaethje was a champion. He was in World Series, but he was a champion.
Yeah.
He took out Eddie, champion.
Yep.
You know, Max, champion. He's like all these guys. He's beaten Anthony Pettis, champion. You know, it's just champion after champion.
He also rises to the occasion. He fought better against Max than any other fight he ever fought in his career.
That's the thing about him, though. Like he's like the cream, you know. He rises. That's why his nickname's the Diamond, you know.
What do you think happens when he fights Khabib? Yeah, that's the one.
That's the fight. Like,
that's the fight.
Like Khabib is the guy. Khabib is definitely the guy. And I was talking to him about it. I started a new podcast. I got
What's
a
it called?
podcast. Sup fam.
Sup fam.
Sup fam.
Sup fam with Eve Edwards.
Yeah,
like
I know. And I just released it today. It's on my YouTube.
It just started today?
Yeah, well, I just released the first episode today.
Oh, all right.
And Dustin's my first guest.
Oh,
and
perfect.
So I was out there with him last week, and we were just hanging out, and we talked about some of that. But like, what do I think happens? This is a tough fight. It's the toughest fight everybody's going to get, right? I absolutely understand and agree that Khabib should be going in as the favorite, right? I want Dustin to win this fight. Every round starts on the feet. Dustin's got to make smart moves every single time, because when Khabib takes him down, it's virtually impossible to get back to your feet. Right? And that's where Khabib is going to want this fight to happen. Dustin's going to have his opportunities, but like, is he going to be able to stop that wrestling consistently enough to make this fight happen where it's best for him? And that's the hardest thing. He's got a good training camp. He's got really good people there with him. He's got Mike Brown there. You know who I want to get with him? Gregor Gillespie. I want Gregor Gillespie to get with Dustin and just get on top of him for the next 2 months.
Just feel that high-level wrestling.
Yeah.
Smashing pressure.
Just that pressure, and get comfortable working out of it, working under there, protecting yourself, doing that.
Would he be interested in... he might fight him down the road, though.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Right? But, like, Tyron and Robbie trained together a long time ago.
That's true. Yeah, that's how you get better. Right?
Yeah. Like, it's one of those things where it's like... Sometimes you gotta trade with a potential rival, or not an enemy, but but like iron sharpens iron.
Yep.
And sometimes you have to go with somebody that's a possible matchup in the future. It just
especially if you're going to fight a guy who has that same style. And I think you nailed it too, because Gregor Gillespie is probably, when you get past Khabib, the scariest wrestler in the division.
Yeah.
He's a guy that gets on top of people and just smashes them.
And he's relentless with his wrestling also. He's a guy who's not going to get tired. He's going to put that pressure on you. He's going to come forward. And once he gets a hold of you, if you don't use perfect technique to escape and get that distance back, he's just going to chain wrestle and chain wrestle. There's no stopping until you're down. Until he scores his 2, there's the takedown is still happening.
Yeah. He's got some fucking relentless strength and conditioning sessions too that he puts on his Instagram. You watch it and you go, oh, this is why this guy doesn't get tired. Fuck.
That guy doesn't get tired because he's obsessed.
Yeah.
Like he runs like 5-minute miles.
Does he really?
Like he'll run like 6 of them.
Jesus
straight.
Christ.
He will run 8 miles and he'll keep the ball under 6 minutes.
So he'll run 6 miles in a half an hour.
Yeah.
Fuck.
He can do that.
Fuck,
Like
man.
he's crazy.
Wow, that's crazy. That's
He's
like
crazy obsessed.
that's high level marathon pace, right?
Yeah. Like people don't know some of the things about these guys. Like there was a point where training with these guys, I was just like, all right, man, I'm too old to be doing that. I can't. I just can't keep up with that. You know what I mean?
Okay. Predictions. Let's go around the table. Eddie Bravo, what's up?
On paper, Khabib takes this. I hope he wins only because it would make a monstrous fight between him and Tony.
Ooh,
but you can't count Dustin out. You know, he could throw a flying knee.
But you got Khabib.
Catch him.
You got Khabib.
If I had a
gun to the head, bro.
Gun to the head, I'd go with Khabib.
That's the safe
bet.
bet.
I'm not going to be surprised if Dustin drops him.
I'm gonna say Poirier 3rd round KO and then fights Conor McGregor.
Whoa.
Hold on. Poirier fights McGregor
After this.
Wow. Dude.
Callan, what do you think?
I'm going.
But I love Khabib.
I think Poirier drops him.
In what round, dude?
In the 4th round.
Type move.
And I think he's going to fight Conor McGregor.
Wow.
Yeah, I stole you, but that's how I feel.
Okay, well, you just said exactly what I said.
But
how do those reshoots go, Brian?
I do.
Do those reshoots?
I'm glad you asked.
We can't get
what were the lines?
No. Fuck those lines. Here we go. We're about to do this.
Yeah, please.
I don't want to talk about making.
By the way, note how I've cleverly avoided making a prediction.
That's why. Let's move on. You can't make predictions.
You have to.
Here we go.
Oh shit!
Woo!
Oh shit!
Look at that. Now.
Another thing interesting about Dustin is Dustin's southpaw with a fucking nasty straight left hand.
Yep.
And great combos.
Although he did fight Conor, who was also southpaw.
Yep.
Oh, that's a while ago.
Dustin's got much longer arms. Got better kicks.
Dustin also has hip issues. He's had some pretty significant wear and tear in his hip.
Nah, he's fine.
He's a black belt on the ground, but I don't think Khabib gives a flying fuck.
Dustin's a black belt?
Dustin
Yes.
Uh-oh. Caught that leg.
Under Tim Crater.
I believe
Tim
his
Crater black
training
belt.
partners were guys like, Robbie Lawler, etc. Before Robbie left ATT.
That was a long time ago, Brian.
Notice that right away
That
how
doesn't matter.
Khabib is staying on the outside. Khabib is avoiding the kicks. He's staying away from Dustin's striking length because Dustin's striking length is a boxing length.
Right.
So Dustin's forced to throw kicks, which he doesn't necessarily prefer. So when he's throwing those kicks, Khabib's caught a couple of them already, or caught one of them at least.
Right.
But he's avoided the kicks. But see the distance?
Yep.
Look at the distance. See, Khabib is staying outside the striking range and looking for that opening for the shot. See, Dustin's forced to throw kicks, but he's not a kicker. That's not his shit, especially with a bad hip. And so Khabib, look at this.
Oh, Khabib landed.
Oh, there's the shot. There's the shot.
He's not gonna. Here's the Dustin's no punk with his takedown defense, man.
Right, but he's
but
never
this is
fought
Khabib
anybody
Nurmagomedov.
like Khabib. Never fought anybody that's that good.
Yeah.
But here he goes. But the other
this
thing
is
is, even
Khabib's
if
not playing either, is
if
he?
Khabib doesn't take you down, the draining, he drains.
Khabib gets tired
you.
too, though.
He does.
Like this is a lot of energy for Khabib.
And then it becomes a
it's
striking
hot
game.
as
Does he
fuck.
get tired though? Really?
And
Oh
then
yeah.
Really?
I Quinta, Conor McGregor
Really?
fights. He takes rounds
Then it
off.
becomes a striking game.
Yeah, but
Watch out.
it's
You
just
know that's
because-
coming. You know that's coming. Get up,
there
stand
it
up,
is,
stand up,
there
stand
it
up.
is, there it
Stand
is,
up,
there
stand
it
up.
is. The mauling
Fucking
begins.
stand up.
The mauling begins.
No, he's standing up. We're
He's
good.
up.
We're good.
Not
We're
quite.
good.
Not quite. He's
I know,
not up yet. Boom.
No, Dustin's gonna get taken down every round.
Yeah, he is.
It's
impossible.
can he?
Oh, he hits the switch. Nope. No, on his back.
Don't try to
Took his
switch.
back. Oh, he's fucked.
Don't try to switch.
Now it's a wrap.
Not good.
It might be over. Right
Very
here.
bad.
It could be
very,
first round
very,
stoppage.
very
It could be
bad.
first round stoppage.
Very
right
bad
here.
for Dustin. Very
shit.
bad. He might get smashed here. Oh, look how he pulls his face like that. He
Jesus
actually got fingers in his
Christ.
eyes.
Man,
He
can I
did
take
that
my-
like a bear.
Where's that $100?
That's about my $100.
You know
They're
what's
both
crazy?
mine.
You know what's crazy is that.
Oh my God, it's over.
It's a wrap.
It's over. He's
It's
going
a
to use
wrap.
that fulcrum
It's a
choke.
wrap.
He's going to use that fulcrum choke.
Oh,
No,
maybe
it's
not.
not over.
Could
Dude, that
be.
was close to being over.
That was
bro.
very
That was
close.
close to being over. Trust
Someone
me.
here's a jiu-jitsu coach.
That
Big
was
shot to the
close.
head.
Is this where Dustin wants to be? Sideways, like not where he wants to be, but sideways in this
No,
terrible.
no, he's
No,
fucked.
he's in a good spot right
Against
now.
the
He's safe
cage.
right here.
Look at
'cause
this.
He's
Look how he
using the
grabs
cage
his
to,
face, man. Look
he's
how he-
actually using the cage to defend the rear naked choke because he's got he doesn't have the angle. See how he's sideways?
Yeah.
He's using that cage. He's
covering his mouth.
It's
Damn it.
it's so
Ouch,
close to being
ouch.
over.
This couldn't have been gone
It's
any
so
worse for
close.
Dustin.
Oh,
This
look
might
at
be
that.
it. This
Look at
might
that.
be
Look
it.
at
This
that.
might be it.
Look at that.
Dustin's
It's so
trying.
over.
He's trying to survive, man. He's
You know
trying
what's
to survive.
crazy is that more people haven't adopted this
Oh, he's got a
fighting style.
nasty neck crank here. Wow,
he's
Dustin
fine.
survives.
Look at that. It's
Dustin
still not
survives.
Please stand up. Please stand up.
Standing.
Turn.
You
You got this. You got this. You got this.
Whoa.
Yep. Don't count him out.
Damn, that was so close.
No,
to
you
being-
just asked for your
look at
money
he
back,
faced
you
him
fuck.
now.
I don't remember that.
Dude.
You're off the train.
I don't have
He
any.
stood
I have
up
no
and
character.
faced him.
Oh, knee to the body.
That's a
Dustin,
fucking
the knee to the
knee.
body.
Damn.
He's gonna have to
Come
walk.
on,
No.
Why did he turn like that? Why did he do that?
I don't know why he did that.
I don't know
He's trying to
why.
separate the hands.
He's
That's
gonna
why.
get taken down.
I don't know
Because he's
why
trying to
he did
separate
that.
the
You
hands.
should never turn your back on Khabib.
I think he's just trying to separate the hands.
All right. Okay.
He's just trying to face the
You got
hands.
a minute left. Let's fucking go. Come on. Just be cool.
He might just try to wear this out or ride this out.
Okay,
rather.
he's gonna survive to the second round for sure.
Who the
For
fuck
Dustin,
knows
it's
for
third,
sure?
fourth round.
He
It's a
will,
minute
he
to
will,
go,
he will.
man.
Look,
Anything can happen.
No, he's good. It's gonna take.
There you go.
Ooh, look at that trip.
Look at that.
Beautiful,
Trip.
beautiful
But
trip.
look, he's
Keep
back
standing up. You just keep standing up.
You know he's gonna get slammed right now. He is.
Look at the way he controls his hip. Fuck, that's
There's no one better, man. He's the best.
He's a mauler, bro.
He's the best.
a mauler, man. He fucking wrestles with.
Oh! He tried that
Switch
last
this-
time and he
yeah.
fucked up. It's not gonna work.
Well,
A
his hands were
A
close.
switch is not gonna work
Not
on
when your
Khabib.
hands are locked.
Khabib's
A
just too
switch,
good.
It's not gonna work
And
on
now
Khabib.
he's mounted, man. Now he's mounted. This is no bueno.
Only 20 seconds. He's
What?
good. He's
No
good.
bueno.
No, he's good.
Connor chilled here in the mount. Remember?
Yeah, but listen, this is
Khabib really doesn't do work in
This
the
is a
mount.
different fight. It's entirely possible that Khabib could get him here.
It'd be tough.
Look at this. Look at this. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh shit.
This ain't good.
Oh,
This ain't good,
shit.
son.
How much time?
This ain't good.
10 seconds.
5, 4, 3, 2. That's
Jesus,
it.
that was
He survives.
vicious.
He's
He
gonna talk
survives.
shit now.
Yeah, he survives.
He's fine.
Damn.
Not a mark on him.
This is gonna happen in Poirier.
He's
I'm telling you,
marked.
third, fourth round, man.
Yep.
If he can make it third, fourth round,
Ooh, that was
Tire him out.
crazy. That was crazy.
Tire him out.
Man, we got to get some food after this.
Yeah, let's get food
Dude,
after this. We'll go
Khabib-
get some.
Khabib's a fucking monster.
God.
But that's it. You got to walk through the fire to get to that third, fourth round, man.
Yes. Yes.
And you got to hope he gets tired from whooping your ass.
He's done that third and fourth round. He was telling Barbosa, "Come on, man. No, it was
Different animal.
It was-
Barbosa,
I
yeah.
know. Tell him to give up.
But they know. But Dustin knows this. Listen. He has fucking how many fights? 40 fights.
He knows this.
He's been in the game for so long, man.
Yeah, he's been down. He's been up. He knows how to lose.
He's not gonna freak out.
He's lost before and bounced back.
He's not shitting his pants
Yeah,
right
he's
now.
a fucking full veteran.
Yep.
He's a full veteran.
He's fine.
I mean, he's not a guy that's going to get broken at this stage of his life.
God, beating Khabib in front of his dad, though, the odds are not good.
He's in front of Russia, sir. In front of Russia. And, I mean, he's
Well,
just
they're
got,
In Abu Dhabi.
he's got
Dhabi.
Asia on his side.
It's
Yeah.
Abu Dhabi.
No, I'm
Good
saying,
drop.
what I'm saying is that Russia's watching.
Here we go. Here we
Putin's
go.
watching.
Here we go. Well, now you know Dustin's going to want to avoid going to the ground at all costs. Lower stance now, and then avoiding the distance. He's still with those kicks, man. I think he waits for Khabib to come in. I would say avoid those kicks, and just wait. Oh Jesus! Look at that.
Oh, he got clipped.
Dude,
Yeah.
here's the problem about Khabib is his striking's not terrible, and you're so worried about the takedown. Remember when he dropped Connor?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on.
But he's dropped other guys too. It's like he's.
He got clipped. Oh shit!
Oh, this is what Dustin wants.
Shit!
Oh,
Give me my
shit.
fucking money.
No, fuck you. You're off.
Give me my
You're off
money.
the train.
Oh,
You're off the train. Yeah, baby.
dude! What
Yeah, but
the fuck?
he can't get crazy. He can't
He's
get
wearing
crazy.
them out.
Oh,
He's wearing them out,
Right,
man.
but he can't get crazy because he'll run into a takedown.
jeez.
He has to play
dude.
Khabib might be in
crazy.
trouble.
He
Khabib
just clipped him again.
Yeah, Khabib might be in trouble here.
That's the dark art.
Shit!
Khabib
Look
is
at
pulling
that
Oh, but
shit.
Dustin's tired. Dustin's tired
No,
now. Look,
no,
yes,
he
he
ain't
is. Yes,
tired.
yes,
Yeah,
he
he's very
is.
tired.
He's
Yes,
tired.
he's tired.
Yeah, he
He's
just
tired.
chased him for a minute
Yes.
straight.
Dude,
He
just
is
took a
tired.
deep breath.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's
also,
tricking him.
oh, dude, there's a shot.
Dude,
but here's the
he
thing.
had him.
Oh, look at
Oh,
this
that-
guillotine attempt.
that's
Oh,
not gonna
bad
work
idea.
on
This is
him.
bad.
It's also
This
you're
is
dealing
bad
with
news.
120-degree heat index inside
Correct.
that
He got
arena.
He got so tired, like that something happened.
Damn, dude,
Holy
he
shit.
had him right there.
What do you mean something happened? He just put his energy out there
guess
trying to finish him because it hurt him a little bit.
Well, he got real wild. He got real wild.
Dustin has to get wild.
Yeah, he had to. There
He
was
has
no
to.
way around that.
Now this is a big if. If
That's
he
his
can
own-
survive this
Well,
3
but
minutes
wait a
and 20
minute.
seconds.
We're only in the second round. Why does he have to get wild? When you
He
clip
almost knocked
someone,
him out.
right? But he clipped him and hurt him. He could just do that again. He could just stay technical and keep it on the outside, where I think he has an advantage.
I don't think his wildness was the result of this takedown. I think he just got taken down.
But the wildness leads to you being exhausted.
They're both.
Be exhausted.
They're both tired
again. Yes,
because those big punches exhaust Khabib.
They're both tired, but Khabib is way more efficient at doing this.
Yes,
he clips your fucking legs. He crosses your legs like a Girl Scout.
And no one's figured it out.
Girl Scouts cross your legs like that?
I don't know.
Is that a move?
What camp did you go to?
Is that like a merit badge?
I don't want to talk about it. When I was younger, I was dressed up like a Girl Scout. It's how I got myself through college. All right,
here we go.
It's going to be 2 minutes and 30 seconds of this.
Okay,
yeah,
that's a lot of time.
Dustin just has to kind of hopefully capitalize on those little moments.
By the way, he's kind of resting here. He's kind of resting here.
He survives here and then tries it again in the third round. Tries it again in the fourth. He just got to survive.
Yeah. Sitting against Case,
he's going to get another shot.
It's really dependent upon what kind of recovery he can have, how he's dealing with the heat, and what kind of. Oh God, he gave his back up again, man.
But if he's going to stand up and then look, he's bleeding on his left eye.
He's relaxed. He's relaxing.
That's a bad cut.
This isn't a place to relax, though. Khabib goes to.
He's going to get back on his feet.
He's going to face him, or he's going to get that left underhook, and he's fine. All he's got to do is just pull that left underhook out, and he's good. Pull that left. Oh, he didn't get it.
He just had pressure on Khabib.
No, don't go for the guillotine. You're going to get taken down.
Don't sit back. There you go. Underhooks.
That pressure.
Dude, Khabib got serious head position.
The head pressure's the best.
People forget about that.
Well, it's head pressure and the way he dips his body down and gets all that weight into it.
He's on his feet, though. Dude, he's on his feet.
Well, his head belongs on Brock Lesnar, by the way.
For Khabib.
He's got the biggest head.
He got up to his feet. Oh,
get up. Don't Grammy.
What was he going to do?
Maybe Grammy roll.
All he's got to do is keep getting up and just kill time. There's a minute, just kill. This is just killing time for Dustin for another shot.
To get hopefully
that's smart.
Another shot.
Yeah.
Just another shot.
That's your best bet.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
Just
frustrating.
survive.
No, don't go for the guillotine.
It's frustrating.
Take that left underhook and stand up.
Well, he doesn't have a neck.
Dude, there's no way he's going to guillotine him.
No.
Imagine if he did.
The only way he could guillotine him is if Dustin is known for a hellacious guillotine and that's his shit. Then I'd be
well, he's got a hellacious darce. His darce is fantastic.
His darce is good.
I'm liking this right now.
Elbow!
Oh! Oh,
damn it.
shit.
Right
that was a shot. That was a shot to separate.
Khabib's not going to fuck with it, man.
He doesn't give you any breath.
He can't.
Dude, he should have just ran at that point. Like, ran.
Really ran.
Look at Dustin hitting him in the knee like that.
Or Overeem style. Remember when Overeem ran?
As soon as there's separation, run.
Up again.
Run.
Look at this. Up again. Oh, he tripped him. Okay. Beautiful trip. 19.
Not enough time. He's good.
17.
Stand up.
16.
I'm telling you, Dustin's not taking a lot of damage. He might be tired, but he's not taking as much damage as he could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aren't you an actor or something?
Oh! He got hit with a big knee there, man.
Who did?
Dustin did.
Oh, shit.
Back on their feet.
Damn.
2 rounds of fury. Look at this. God damn.
He's tired for sure.
Of course.
Is he tired, though?
Of
That's
course.
the question.
Yes.
He is tired.
Khabib's third and fourth round is usually a tough time for him. I'll say this, though. It's kind of impressive what Conor did coming back off that long layoff because we see what he's doing to Dustin.
Does it to everybody.
But I'm just saying, for what Conor, he did defend a few takedowns.
Hey, you know what?
And landed some shots.
I see Dustin like this is the game plan. Wear him out
100%.
for a few rounds. Right?
100% this is the plan.
Survive.
Dustin's 100% dangerous.
He's in the mix right now.
He can knock you out at any moment.
I would love to be listening to Mike Brown's coaching.
I'd say keep doing it. You know what? If he takes you down, just survive.
I love Mike Brown.
Yeah.
The beginning of the rounds, he's got 5 shots to knock him out.
Oh, that was legit, man.
Dude, he clipped
that was
him
legit.
Good.
Yeah,
and
legit.
Then
he got, another left
hand.
Look at that. He's
Dude,
going
he
back.
He hurt him.
Oh, shit.
And then the shot, man.
He squares up.
Damn. The thing is, you go looking for that
You
shot.
fucked up
You got to be
going for that
conservative looking for those shots. You got to be real conservative. But
Calm,
you can't
cool,
be if you
collect.
want to win. If you want to win, you got to get wild. Oh,
Yeah,
it's so
he's got to just look at every.
Here we go.
Every beginning of every round is the time to knock him out, and once you get shot on, okay, just survive.
Is that 2 Chainz in the crowd? How the fuck did that happen?
2 Chainz is there?
It looked like
Look at
it.
this.
How do you know what 2 Chainz looks like?
I don't know.
What's 2 Chainz? What is that?
What'd you say, Jamie?
He's sitting next to Dana.
Is he? 2 Chainz is?
What is 2 Chainz?
He's a rapper.
Oh, really?
He debated Nancy Grace about marijuana.
He hasn't been hot for a second, but
maybe he's hot.
He's
in
throwing those
Dubai.
wide looping thing. He looks
That's
tired.
why he's there.
He's certainly tired.
Yeah.
He's certainly tired. He's looking for that's the problem, man. This is it. Oh, Dustin.
Oh, that's tight.
That is tight. That is tight.
That's snuggy.
No,
that's snuggy.
Snuggy.
That's snuggy. That's snuggalicious.
That is tight.
Dude, it's
snuggalicious.
But he doesn't have a leg. He doesn't have a leg. His arms are going to get tired.
That's still tight.
Oh, he rolled.
What the fuck?
Oh, he rolled.
That's still tight.
Oh, it's tight.
Damn, that's tight.
Oh, he's rolling to his back.
Dude, is he going to put him to sleep?
Oh, my God. This is incredible. This is incredible.
It's tight.
No, he lost it. He lost
He's
it.
still in it.
No, he lost it.
Nope, he's out.
He's out.
That shit was snuggy.
But look at this. Look at this.
Snug.
Now he gave
him his back.
Now you pissed Khabib off.
He tried to take a little breather after he let go of that guilloine.
You tugged on his neck. You tugged on the bear's neck. Now he's going to fuck you up.
Look at his dad right there. Nothing moves on his face.
It makes you think like of an elite Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt gets him in a position like that as he's trying to take him down.
Hey, he's an elite Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
Hey, no, but like a Davi Ramos type dude.
No. You know who I think has the style to beat Khabib?
Who? Tony
Brian
Ferguson?
Ortega.
Tony Ferguson.
Or Tony Ferguson, but Brian Ortega as far as his neck attacks.
But the thing about Tony, here's that fulcrum choke.
Oh, no.
This might be it. Nope.
Tony Khabib's the fight all day.
I see. I disagree with Brian Ortega because he's too small. He's a 145 pounder.
Yeah. Oh, he's a huge 45.
Yeah, but he's a 145 pounder.
180.
Ferguson is the man. Oh, he's under the neck. This is
it's over.
That's it.
It's over.
That's
over.
That's it.
It's over.
Tap. That's it. Wow. Khabib. He's a goddamn monster. Khabib is a fucking
Tony
monster.
Khabib now, dude. It's Tony Khabib.
Look at this.
Even Khabib said that, though.
Khabib is a goddamn monster. What's he doing?
Is he hugging his dad?
Where's he running into the crowd for?
Where'd the camera go?
Did he go to hug his dad? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's hugging
Dana. Oh, look at that, man. That's amazing. He's hugging everybody. Wow.
He's humping people, too.
I think they're jumping up and down with him. That's his dad, I think, is with the white hair.
We went out on a limb, Brian. It made it fun.
It made it fun, Brian.
He was
I got my money back,
minus 400.
You got to take your money.
Look at this.
He's a minus 400 for a reason.
Mine. I loaned you 100. You owe it to me. Jeez. Well, when you see a guy like Khabib Nurmagomedov just run through people in the UFC, and you know where that guy's from, you got to go, well, how many more of those guys are over there? You know?
Yeah.
The Dagestan crew, and that's Zabit too. He's from Dagestan. Isn't Islam Makhachev? Isn't he from that part of the world as well?
Yeah. That's where
killers. There he is. Boom, 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 boom. That's it.
Yeah. So
the
Caucasus, right?
Yeah. That's a warrior group of people.
Yeah. There's a lot of
history.
So I get to go there a lot. I mean, it's really exciting. I get to see a lot of really cool stuff.
What is Dagestan like?
Okay, Dagestan was a blast. Dagestan was fun, man.
Really?
Yeah, I went there. I was there with who was also at the show. They brought over Verdun and those guys weren't working. Verdun and Anderson Silva, those guys were watching fights. But I was working. But yeah, they took us around. They showed us a lot of really cool stuff. I went to like school where some kids, wrestling school, like a lot of schools that were athletic, with an athletic orientation, and seeing these little kids. Man, they put this little kid up on a bar and had him doing pull-ups, man. He was doing pull-ups. I mean, this little bitty kid did, I mean, it must have been at least 15 pull-ups. And then
how old was he?
I mean, he was a little kid.
Like 5, 6?
No, like something like 9 or something like that. And when the coach pulled him off, he was mad. You could see he was mad. He's like, man, I got more. You know what I mean? He was mad, like, to show the people what I could do. Wow. But and the crowd, they loved MMA so much. They were like, it was like, you know what it was like? It was like, you ever watch those videos of like the Beatles, you know what I mean? When all the people going crazy, but it's not teenage girls. It's like a bunch of hard little wrestlers.
Wow.
All just packs like, ah. Yeah, I've got some pictures from somewhere. Yeah, I can show them to you.
Wow. So it's that popular over there.
Yeah.
Now, did you see the video of those dudes when Khabib beat Conor and they're shooting machine guns into the air?
Oh, I didn't see that, but I saw one of my friends from that area sent me some pictures. She was out on the street. She sent some pictures to my wife of them, some video of guys shooting and horse racing. Had horses. There were horses down. Yeah, some video. That was like,
horse racing and shooting guns at the same time.
People were so excited about that. That was some energy there. Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine? You're from a place that many parts of the world have never heard of. Until I don't know how much I thought about Dagestan before Khabib came around, and then now they have not just a world champion, but a guy who smashed the most famous fighter on the planet.
Right.
Or one of the most famous fighters on the planet. It's like him and Floyd Mayweather are probably the two most famous fighters.
Yeah.
And Khabib just ran through him. So like, he's a huge star over there.
Yeah. Yeah. He's huge. So it's a fun place to go. Matter of fact, I got to see a lot of cool stuff.
Look at this. Dagestan explodes with delight after Khabib defeats McGregor. They're all going crazy with their hats on. Look at people out in the street cheering.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, man. Conor's, all the shit talk leading up to that fight, man, did that backfire. Like, on some people it works, and on some people it doesn't work at all, and it just makes him more relentless. When Khabib was hitting him, going, let's talk now. Come on, let's talk now.
Well, that's the thing with him, because he talks the whole time, right? Yeah, from the beginning of the day, he starts talking.
Khabib does?
Oh, yeah, he starts talking.
Really? What does he say?
Well, didn't you hear when he was fighting Johnson?
Yes, he's telling him, give up.
Yeah.
You know, I need that title shot. Give up. And then he got him in that horrific Kimura. I was watching that Kimura. I was like, don't just fucking tap. Come on, man. Tap. Come on, man. Just feeling everything going pop, snap, pop. Oh, they didn't want to tap, man. Johnson's a tough guy.
Yeah, but the smack talk, I mean, that's what Conor does.
Yeah. Yeah, but this was a different level. Let's talk. He's like, come on, let's talk now. Can we hear it?
Yeah, it's Michael Johnson. Yeah.
Oh.
In between all that, you have to give up.
You have to give up. Yeah.
He sounds like he really cares about him, too.
You know this, I deserve.
You know this, I deserve it. I have to fight for the title. You know this, I deserve it. As he's beating him.
All right. Yeah.
And he's talking to someone on the sideline. Stephen A. Smith said that he thought that you guys didn't grapple because you were afraid of coronavirus.
Dude, I thought you were joking, bro. I thought you were joking.
I don't dislike him. No, he said that, and he meant it.
No, I thought you were totally. I laughed like you did the good one, bro.
He meant it.
He did say it.
He meant it.
Yeah, he did.
He didn't just say it. He fucking meant it. We're literally swapping blood here.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this is HIV world, hepatitis world.
Yes, everything. You name it, you get it. Staff, everything.
Anything through blood.
But that kind of talk. But Stephen A. Smith, though, he's a personality. Like that's part
of
what he does.
That's why
he's got hot takes on things. So when he says things,
he could have not meant it. He could be smarter than we think and said it because of the reaction he would have got.
Exactly. It causes fucking
clickbait.
shit.
Yeah, it's a lot. Listen, he makes his living that way. We're all talking about him. I mean, that's how he makes his living. He makes his living getting people to talk about some of the things. He says he's a very engaging personality.
You have to use that in the next interview, though. I don't grapple because of social distancing.
Yeah.
I'll use wrestling when they know that shit is gone.
I knew this shit was coming for the last 7 years.
I hit him so hard because I was scared he was going to touch me and get that corona on me.
I was trying to keep him 6 feet back.
I think, real quick on the fight, I think people are like, why didn't he grapple? And a huge factor in the Khabib fight is going to be my feet work.
Yeah.
There was never a spot when he felt comfortable to close the distance. I was constantly too far away and staying off the fence. So that's going to be huge against Khabib.
Well, you have the style. I mean, if you wanted to say, okay, what kind of style do you think would work against a guy like Khabib? First of all, a guy who's a fantastic defensive wrestler, like you said, and then a guy who's a superior striker. And those two things you have.
You got to stay off the fence.
Yeah.
You got to have feet work. Without the feet work, you can't stay off the fence.
But Khabib's whole game is, he's a great grappler as well, but his whole game is using that grappling in the fight.
Against the fence.
Yeah.
You will not. If he's taking a shot in the open, it's to drive you to the fence to finish the takedown.
Mm-hmm.
He's not getting takedowns in the open.
Interesting.
You go watch all of his fights.
Right.
You're going to see maybe 5, a handful, if that, of takedowns in the actual center of the cage. He'll start in the middle, but he's going to push you. It's to push you to the cage and use the cage. It's going to be my feet work. It's going to be me keeping that distance where he feels slightly uncomfortable. Like when he did go for the Eminari, I was just too far. He thought he was close enough. But I was just too far,
Right. Well, he was already beaten down by that point.
That's late, too.
Yeah, it was.
Because he's super sneaky. Like the one he hit on Barbosa was sneaky.
But it would have been the same in the first round because of the distance I was keeping.
Right,
you know, you have to, in order to shoot a double leg, you have to be at a distance in which you feel comfortable. In wrestling, it's always, I shouldn't, unless my head's touching your head, I should never take a shot. because then I'm too far away.
Right.
So controlling distance, staying off the fence is going to be the most important thing in the world when it comes to that fight.
Now, when are they talking about for that fight?
I mean, we got the same manager, so
that's kind of crazy.
Whenever we want,
the same manager. That is
dude, that
crazy.
dude's a G, man.
So the fight with you and Khabib, you both have the same manager. What I hear talk about September. Are they saying that with you?
I mean, so we both pretty much we decide. I mean,
God, I hope they have a fucking audience.
We don't decide. The UFC is the boss. They will, but you can't make anybody fight. And I'm ready in September. He's ready in September, so it's perfect.
Now I know Vegas is going to at least allow some audiences in July, supposedly, because I'm at that Park Theater, the one that's right across the street from T-Mobile.
Yep.
I'm there in July for doing a comedy show. It's supposedly going to actually happen.
They haven't canceled it.
They haven't canceled it.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, is this real?
Yeah.
Like,
I saw New Jersey.
Hope, right?
New Jersey opened up pro sports.
With an audience?
I don't believe so. I don't.
Yeah, see,
I didn't
that's
see
the
that part.
thing.
Yeah, that's huge.
You and Khabib, I mean, as much as it was cool to see you and Tony fight with no audience, I kind of want to see a fucking
as much as I loved fighting with no audience, I want them there.
Yeah. The spectacle of that fight, that's such a
It's
big
such a-
fight.
yeah, it's such
the
an
biggest
experience.
challenge of his career. It's the biggest challenge of Khabib's career. It's the biggest challenge of your career.
100%.
Yeah, I mean,
Khabib's the greatest at what he does. Like that's again, we can't take anything away from that. It's when you look at well-rounded fighters, he's well-rounded, but he's great
At
in
one thing.
what he
Yeah.
does, and that is like what made Chuck Liddell great. Like he had thunder in his hands, and he sprawl and brawl. Like you get hit by him, he's great at what he does, and that's what's so exciting is having opportunities to be able to step up. That's what I'm really excited for. I know he's excited for. And again, no one's got to see his wrestling, and I met this guy watching him wrestle, and what he does was so unique. It's a total different style of wrestling, and that's hard to train for, and it's kind of like a hidden weapon. So I feel like we're bringing something unique into this.
I think it's a very
cool.
unique fight, and it's also Tony was thought to be the biggest threat to that title because Tony is such a good grappler, and he's so good on his feet, and he fucks people up on his feet. So him fighting you and you stopping him, like you take that spot now, and also your style, in my opinion, is better.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, the thing about Tony's style is that Tony can fight off of his back. He's not worried about takedowns, and he
was
going to
fight that fight with the mindset of being okay on his back.
Yes, that was that was the thought process. Whereas your thought process is completely different. Being such a great defensive wrestler, but also being the superior striker.
Totally,
it's a very dangerous fight for Khabib. Very dangerous, especially the confidence that you must have coming off of that 5 rounds with Tony.
Feels good. I mean, I know how bad those kicks hurt. If I can touch your calf, I'm never kicking above the knee anymore.
Really?
Only below.
No, he will.
If you ever, not on purpose.
He will.
Not on purpose.
Never.
Really? It's
not
the,
on purpose.
the calf kick's so devastating.
So devastating.
In the clinch, you're going to kick above the knee.
Maybe.
That's a non-never,
Well,
right?
yeah, I'll try to break their knee by hyperextending it. But from the outside, it's you could fire at a different distance. You're so much more safe.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many nerves and ligaments that run through that part that have no protection. Your thigh has, your quad is a big muscle. It's hard to get through your quad to those nerves. Yeah. You could touch the nerves. That's why, when he said Henry's calf and foot don't hurt, it's because he got kicked in the calf.
Yeah.
And the nerves stopped firing.
Yeah, just like Michael Chandler and Bellator.
Exactly.
It's
unique, right?
If I can touch, I got to touch Khabib there 4 times, and then he's compromised.
Yeah.
Once he's compromised,
he can't shoot.
He can shoot, but he
not the
has
same.
to have the fence.
Right.
If he doesn't have the fence, there's no fucking way.
Yeah.
I promise you that. It has to be in the middle.
So
and he can give me. There might be a scramble. He might out scramble me in the middle once or twice. But if he wants to take me down, he's going to have to put me against the fence.
Now, once they set this fight, you need 8 weeks. Is that what you want to get prepared?
Yeah. So
we're getting close to that, right? We're in June in just a week or so.
Yep. June, July, August. Yeah. So I take 30 days off.
But they didn't give you a specific.
I don't know
timeline.
anything.
Yeah.
Just September.
And they didn't say it's Fight Island. Is it Fight Island?
My manager probably knows more details than I do.
Fight Island seems like a fucking
there's
myth.
not a lot.
Yeah, it does. That's what I was thinking.
I need to see
Treasure
this.
Island, or they open it up at Treasure Island in Vegas.
I need to see this place on Google Maps.
Oh my gosh!
You know what it's like? It's like fucking that movie Contact, where they zoom in close, and you see the thing. It's like, it's also like I want to like look on Google Maps. Look, they're fucking constructing the octagon.
They built an island. They put a whole bunch of dirt.
Dana won't even tell me. Dana tells me everything. He won't tell me. And where's this fucking island?
I don't know nothing, dude.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's real.
Yeah, it might be just saying it just so he can get another day set for his little spot in Vegas and just be like, oh, man, we don't need
for
it. For
international fights, it seems like the only option.
Yes.
Until
like
the U.S. opens
option.
back up. You ain't getting visas right now.
No, you're not getting visas, and I don't even know how they're going to have to fly everybody private to this fucking island.
Yeah, I want to know if I can get back.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Where are you going to land?
Your win bonus includes a flight. If you lose, you got that boat and the oar.
You land in Mexico. You land in Tijuana, and then you have a boat. You got to get to San Diego, and then we'll drive you home.
My man used to wear the white wig.
Oh, Khabib?
That
Khabib
motherfucker
Nurmagomedov?
right there. Any his weight class?
Hoyler was close to his weight class, but Hoyler was a little smaller. Hoyler was like 145, and he was like he's fighting at 155. But Hoyler was an elite grappler too. Hoyler won like multiple world championships. Like they were the whole family. Hodger Gracie, Henzo Gracie. My God,
So
what a family.
Khabib,
What a
even if he'd have
family.
beat one, he would have to another one have been waiting around the corner waiting on his ass.
It would have been amazing to see Khabib in his prime versus a guy like Hickson in his prime.
Yes.
Just see them grapple. Be fascinating.
So Khabib's undefeated.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Khabib retired undefeated.
That's fucking
Not only
crazy.
not just undefeated, but never really in a close fight. There was no real close
He took
fights.
on everybody too. He didn't
Took
run
on
from no
everybody.
fades. He took on everybody.
He had good fights. He had good fights where people put up struggle, but eventually he gets them all. He gets them all.
So is he top 5?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Khabib is, in my opinion, greatest lightweight of all time. The other argument is B.J. Penn in his prime. B.J. Penn in his prime was fantastic. He was so good.
He was fast. He get up
Oh,
on
my
you.
God.
Stand
B.J.
up with
Penn,
you.
when he was like, if you go back and watch, like, peak B.J. Penn, when he would, like, he was just, he had phenomenal power. He was ruthlessly aggressive. He had great jiu-jitsu. Everybody was scared of BJ for a while.
Right.
He would fight
who did
anybody.
he take it from? He took it from somebody.
Well, he beat Matt Hughes.
He wasn't supposed to.
He beat Matt Hughes in his prime.
Right, because Matt was the champ, right?
And he strangled him.
He rocked him.
Yeah, yeah, and he strangled him.
And then he held on to it for a while.
Yeah, they had some wars, man. Yeah, he was an elite grappler too, just really, really good. And so it wasn't just his stand-up striking; it was his ground game, but it was also that he would fight anybody.
Yeah, he was gangster, but he would get in there and mix it up. He was like a crowd favorite.
Yeah, he lost to George St. Pierre. George St. Pierre was just
GSP?
bigger and stronger and better, and he kind of beat him up. But it was the difference in size is pretty evident. And it just wasn't a good matchup for BJ. But that's just because George St. Pierre in his prime was the best of the best.
Right. One thing about the UFC, that torch is definitely going to get passed. And when it get passed, it's all about who can hold on to it and hold it the longest. Because there's always somebody coming to get your ass.
Always. There's some guys that can hold it off until they can retire. But, if you just stay in it long enough, eventually someone coming up is going to get you.
That's in everything, though. That's even in the music industry. It's always been like that. Like, it's a young man's game. That's why I'm surprised I'm still in it.
Well, again, you're in it because you can authentically be you, and people love you. You're like one of the most universally loved people. But it's because of what you put out.
Right.
That's what you put out there. You put out love, and people love you back.
Hey, man, put it in the air one time. A little bud for the love. A little love for the bud. Oh, I got to say it the right way, though. You know how I do it. Yes, sir. Big Snoop Dogg smoking live on the air. The Joe Rogan Experience. Austin, Texas, a bust. You bitch you. You ain't never had a guest like that come with his own motherfucking microphone. Just together, man. I need some alcohol, Joe. Can I get drunk on your show?
Yeah, for sure. Conor is fighting Dustin Poirier.
He's
fighting Cowboy Cerrone. He's fighting Khabib Nurmagomedov while he's worth hundreds of millions
how
of dollars.
How terrifying is that guy's responses to these things?
He's my favorite response
ever.
ever.
It is the scariest. There's nothing like when Conor was like, I only count knockouts in my record. And then you just see like a reply from Khabib that's like, I take people into deep waters and they discover themselves. It's like, dude, what the fuck is this guy talking about? What's scarier than a white Muslim just talking shit, dude?
I take people into deep waters and they discover themselves. That
terrifying.
should be the name of his book.
Dude.
That should be the title of his book.
Social media. Khabib, he'll just post. Today he posted a picture of like him with a bunch of figs. Or fucking, it's like, dude, this is the scariest guy on earth. Dude.
He's amazing. Look at him. He's getting, what is that?
Dates.
What does it say?
Dates.
There's not even, all the way from Dubai to USA. Thank you so much, brother.
These are my
These are my favorite
dates.
These are my favorite dates. Bro, he smashed everybody. There's never been a guy like him. That guy made it to undefeated as a world champion, and the last guy he beat was what many people thought would be his most dangerous challenge, and he almost had him in the first round. He got him in the second round.
Ugh.
He's the greatest of all time.
That wasn't even close.
No,
Poirier came close.
Poirier came close. Poirier almost got him in a guillotine. He almost got him in a guillotine.
Yeah.
It was just like a few adjustments, and maybe if he was less tired. You never know. Like, a human's a human, but
that guy,
really elite grapplers, it's hard to submit them, man. They can get out of stuff better.
Good God, that guy's up there fucking wrestling bears in the mountains
when he was a little kid.
No one is ever close to as scary as Khabib, though.
It's pretty scary.
That while he was fighting Conor, and he was like, "Now we talk."
Yeah.
It's
Come on, we're talking.
Holy shit.
Let's talk now, while he's punching him in the face. The best thing he said during the lead up to the Conor fight, he goes, I want to change his face.
Not only smash, like change his face.